that sometimes you never know. I mean, this game.
I got a Magikarp.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you get a lot of candy for that.
You know, and because the longevity of the game, like I don't need to be done with this in 3 weeks, so I'm okay with taking a very long time, hatching a lot of eggs, and sort of letting the randomness.
I'm actually more excited usually about hatching eggs. Like I just want to walk aimlessly, and if I find a Pokemon, cool. But I kind of want to just do the walking, and then when it hatches.
What's kind of cool is we were talking to a dude. Who was I with? I think it was Pat, and we went to. Did I tell you this last week?
Maybe.
We went to Whole Foods to get a pizza promotion deal that they were doing. You get a free slice of pizza if you just show them your game, and we were talking to one of the dudes there, and he doesn't catch Pokemon. Period. He only hatches eggs. So he only gets incubators and then walks around all the time, hatches them, and that's how he gets all his Pokemon. So
that's really cool.
It was kind of fun, just that's.
Does that mean that he's technically like a breeder?
Kind of, yeah, exactly. So if you're RPing, that's his character. That's what his character is.
He's gonna start dressing up like Brock and start squinting at everybody.
Exactly, yeah, and just yelling and sexing the ladies.
John, did you know that Netflix is adding 11 slow TV titles next month?
Slow TV titles.
Slow TV. This is a new cultural phenomenon that I just learned about.
Lives?
No. So Norway is really big on it, and the idea is that it's a way to wind down at the end of your day and just sort of relax.
Okay.
And so basically it's hours and hours of things like salmon fishing or train ride Bergen to Oslo or National Knitting Morning. And so you just pop it on, and it's like a 7-hour show that runs continuously. And I can tell you all the things that there's going to be. There's National Firewood, evening, morning, and night. National Knitting, evening, morning, and night. Northern Passage, Northern Railway, salmon fishing, the Telemark Canal, and train ride Bergen to Oslo. So you can basically watch fire, knitting, fishing, or train rides.
So I wonder if an element of this is almost tied to sort of the ASMR kind of deal, where there's an ambience and certain noises they're very nice to listen to. But I wonder if the train noise, if you the rattling of the car and going against the tracks, or maybe crochet needles, just for hours.
That would make me crazy.
It might be nice. You might actually like it. As white noise.
I like noise.
There can be some.
It's also not just because they have on Christmas time they'll have oh, look at the Yule log burning, you can watch this for an hour. So it's more than that, right? So National Firewood Night is a show that's an 8-hour show of people chopping wood and then watching it burn in a fireplace. You get to watch them chop the wood. And apparently one of the creators claimed that they got about 60 text messages from people complaining about which way the bark was facing in the fire, that they were doing it improperly.
Okay.
So
wow.
Yeah. I never would have thought. National Knitting Evening follows a group of Norwegians trying to break the record for producing a sweater. So they shear the sheep, and then they break it all down, and they make a sweater out of it.
I love the world we live in, because while there's a lot of political injustice in the world, that's a huge focus. It's easy to lose sight of the fact that we are free to make television shows on streaming. That we can stream through our video game systems that will allow us to watch people knit entire costumes.
Yeah.
We couldn't do that didn't happen years and years ago. Before Netflix.
Yeah, you could pitch it to USA or something, and they'd be like, no one's gonna watch this.
Right. Yeah. And it's interesting because Netflix, there's a Netflix era. There's a before Netflix and after Netflix, and what Netflix has provided is incredible, because now you have access to unlimited movies, essentially. And now they're starting to come up with content that's not even movies. It's straight, there's original TV series, which is also cool. But now you can literally just put ambient things on and just enjoy.
Yeah.
And sure, things like this probably existed on the computer just as it is. You could go to, some website where some guy discovered that he loved this and shared it with 10 other people. But now that everybody has access and they can sample this and go, oh, I had no idea that was even a thing I would enjoy. Now they can enjoy it. Like the ASMR thing, I actually think it's really fascinating. I'm not into it, but I understand the appeal.
Yeah.
Started.
Yeah. Ken Williams says, I was going to ask a better question, but I'm distracted by the hat. Where can I buy it to become as awesome as you? A friend of mine actually was in Scotland. She lived there for like a year. She was also in Scotland like a week ago. But another friend of mine was in Scotland, and she bought this and brought it back for me.
Scotland.
Scotland, yeah. So the cast of Train Spotting gave this to her.
Yeah.
You can.
It's Velcro.
It is Velcro, yeah. Though I like it better like this because it's relaxes my chin more. I can breathe easier, more easily.
Easier.
Easier. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cyber Zone.
Hi.
Hi. Tonight we have special guest Juanita. JWoww. Sorry, I made a typo.
Caca Baby #1.
Caca Baby 1 and Caca Baby 2 are here to provide you with the cleanest oxygen intake you've ever had.
Thank trees.
Trees, yeah, exactly. We're going to be planting some trees tonight live. In
10 hours.
Yeah, in my office. So, though, isn't like a movie where like somebody digs up, like they plant trees in like the floorboards because it's wood, and you just throw a bunch of
do that.
yeah. I might be thinking of an episode of Stella.
Yeah, all I can think about is Stella.
Grow plants in their apartment, and then they ruin the harvest by over.
You gave me an idea for a horror movie about someone who just digs up every tree in the world.
Some like one man does this.
Yeah, one man is out to destroy the human race by just digging up every tree he can find.
Is he like invincible? Because it seems like it wouldn't be that hard to stop him.
No, he's not.
Okay, he's just very. Is he elusive?
He is elusive. He's very elusive.
Okay, how does he? Things are big. Like, okay, so he has to uproot them, right?
Yes.
I can't just chop them down. That like
Cannot chop. No, yeah, we're going to uproot them entirely.
Does he have like a tractor, or
Bare hands.
is he just very strong?
It depends. No, he's not very strong. He's Crispin Glover.
Okay, so he could probably lift like 50 pounds max.
Yeah, he basically just uses a shovel for small trees, and larger trees require the rental of a backhoe or something.
Okay, so his determination, does he actually like follow through? Does this?
Yeah, he's doing it.
So he doesn't own a backhoe?
He rents
No.
it?
Yeah, because if he owned it, he'd be easier to track down.
That's true. So he rents it simply because he can use his nom de plume.
Yeah, he rents them on Craigslist from freelance backhoe rental.
He couldn't buy like
services.
a black market like hoe.
You'd have to put plates on it.
Well, I mean,
You just said black market hoe.
a black market backhoe.
Okay.
I was using the street slang.
Black market hose,
Yeah.
guys.
.com.
Okay, so this is your horror movie.
Yeah.
Is there like a counter-terrorist group that plants trees?
No one knows how.
No one knows that. Okay,
There's not enough time because trees take so long to grow.
that's true. He's got a lot of work to do though, because I mean, like, there's whole like jungles.
Is
Yeah.
he fast at it?
He is very fast, yeah. But not like superhumanly fast, just like he has access
Paul Bunyan or John Henry.
to like shipping routes.
He just has the right channels
Yeah.
to go find all the trees. Okay, so would he have enough time in his lifetime to do this? Is it like just he's on like this big mission, but like how? This is a big undertaking. Does he have like a clan of like secret kids he's raised that are helping him, or is it?
No. He's just independently wealthy.
Oh, actually, I wanted to ask you about that as well too. Is where does he get the funding?
Yeah, he's independently wealthy. He invested a lot in
Small loan of $1 million?
yeah. He got a small loan of $1 million and then he invested that into Nokia and T-Mobile sidekicks.
Engage came out.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's where he made his billions.
Yep. And then he decided he was going to just dig up all the trees. He's not going to succeed, right? He's going to take out enough trees within like we'll say a continent. Like maybe he does it sort of around the world and then he decides to focus on Australia.
Oh wow.
And sort of deforest Australia, which causes a panic because then there's not enough oxygen over Australia.
Right.
So, but then he dies, and then in the sequel, there's like a gang of teenagers who are trying to carry on his legacy, a la Jigsaw.
Yeah. Okay. They looked up to him, and they saw that his cause. They wanted to watch the world burn alongside him.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they take his backhoe, which he's haunting now. So it's three times as effective.
Okay. So like, is it faster or just?
It digs deeper.
Okay.
Do backhoes dig? Yeah, they dig.
They did. Yeah. Okay. What is it called, and when can I expect to see it in theaters?
Well, Ken Williams suggested Johnny Terrorseed, and he said it's coming this summer.
Oh shoot! Okay.
Straight to DVD.
No.
Straight to Betamax
Straight to every theater.
and Hulu.
They show this exclusively. This is actually part of a marketing ploy by him. When the movie's released and everybody's busy watching it, think of how many trees he can get uprooted while everybody's busy watching the movie.
Yeah.
So
it's a real life sort of comedy based on a true story.
based on an active story.
Yeah, based on something that's happening right now, ripped from the headlines.
Oh God! So we guy Nico shows up. Hello, Nico. Nice headwear. Can't believe the one and only Juanita JWoww is here. This is an honor, and Radon, of course, the man himself. So it's the trio.
Yeah.
The triple triad. So then, will there be any discussion over stuff from Comic-Con and stuff this Cyberzone?
I imagine we'll talk about stuff.
Yeah, we talk about things on the Cyberzone. There's a lot to talk about. Did you were out of town while Comic-Con was going to happen? No, because Comic-Con was last weekend?
Yeah, I wanted to go.
I also wanted to go.
wanted to go.
But only because I wanted the Ninja Turtles arcade action figures.
Only because I wanted to see the cast of Sherlock.
Well, you can see them on series 4 of Sherlock.
Yeah, they're actually.
But they were there. We could touch them.
Just the fondling room.
Yeah.
Yeah, right after the panel, the box was involved. Yeah, you get to clot them or flick their nipples or whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. That's actually, I think, because celebrities like being groped.
The reason why people get into show business is to be rubbed by strangers.
Exactly. They want the thrill of the mystery. Like who's gonna touch me next? Where will they touch me? With what?
Yeah.
Gloved, mittens,
How?
wool, denim.
Acid wash.
Acid wash denim gloves.
Gross.
That sounds super comfortable. Just get them wet and they're immediately useless. Okay. How have you been? What have you been playing?
Wales.
Wales. What were you playing during your tenure in Wales?
Mostly a lot of Welsh games.
Welsh board games.
Cool.
Yeah. Clahagan to Flagum. Well, I just finished up Kirby and the Amazing Mirror a couple nights ago.
Oh, good. How'd you like that one?
It's one of my least favorite Kirby games, but that's not like a bad thing.
Yeah, it's coming from a great series.
It's different enough to be interesting, but I don't think that the execution is necessarily there.
So you played it one player.
Yes, I did.
If you were to play it 4-player, do you think your opinion would be different?
No, because of who I am. I really like the idea that 4-player exists for that game, and I would love to watch 4 people play it.
Mm-hmm.
But I am so the worst person to play co-op games with because I'm very particular about. I don't change my play style to suit other people, and if people's play styles don't suit me, then I get irritated.
So I don't know if you knew this about Amazing Mirror. This is one of my favorite co-op games for the reason that it is completely independent co-op.
Yes, yeah.
And everybody can explore the world at their leisure.
Right.
Which I find to be fascinating, especially a game like by Nintendo like that.
I agree. I think it is really cool. The problem is that for me, like, I wouldn't want to go into this game co-op with someone now because I know how to beat it. And I wouldn't want to play it for the first time with someone who has already also played. Like, for me, the only sort of way that I enjoy playing co-op games is if it exists in a vacuum and nobody knows anything about it and no one's going to look up anything about it in between play sessions and it's just all blind for all parties involved. And that's too impossible to really expect anymore.
Sure.
So
Because it plays very much like a traditional Kirby, but the layout is different because it is like a Metroidvania in a sense.
it is and it isn't.
Yeah.
Because that's the easiest comparison to make, but I'm a little disappointed that it wasn't more
Yeah.
Metroidvania because you don't ever really need to get an upgrade and go back to an area.
You can explore very freely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I suppose in a sense works if you have 4 people and you say, let's all just choose completely different paths.
Mhm.
So it works on that level, but at the same time, it also prevents you from saying, like, I'm curious to see what's over here, and I can't find out until X happens.
Right.
You just say, okay, I'm going to go find out what happens immediately.
Yeah.
Sure.
One thing that I would have liked to have seen instead of sort of the free ability copying of a traditional Kirby is to have used a system like Milky Way Wishes on Kirby Superstar, where you find these sort of like master abilities, and once you have them, you can open a menu and sort of choose what you want from there. I think that would have made that game more interesting than the route that they took, but it was still a pretty good game.
So out of any Kirby game, what is your favorite?
Kirby Superstar. It's a cheap answer, but it really was just
They
for me. Yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah. I like Kirby because they have experimented with him as a character so much in the games. I mean, it's interesting because there's either super traditional Kirby or it's completely offbeat, like Block Ball or Dream Course.
I love Block Ball.
It's a great game.
Yeah.
Canvas Curse is a personal favorite.
Robobot is really good.
I still need to play Robobot. I haven't actually played the new one yet.
Really good.
Yeah, but those games they're all solid. There's not like a bad Kirby game out there.
Yeah, I was trying to think of like what would be the worst Kirby, and it probably for me might be either Amazing Mirror or like Dreamland 1.
Dreamland 1, because it's simple. There's just not much to it, But even that, it's still a very good thing.
Yeah.
I can agree with that. Okay. What about you? What's your favorite Kirby game? I know you're a big fan of Kirby.
I never heard of it.
You never heard of this? Well,
No.
they don't. They're not out yet. None of them.
Yeah.
So
Delayed.
General Corby is Marcus Halo's boss in Gears of War.
Yeah.
I really like the Kirby Mass Attack.
Mass Attack. That was actually really
fun.
cool.
I never finished it though.
Yeah.
I haven't finished that one either. It really failed to like grab me though. I don't know. I don't like when games are needlessly complicated, and I felt like that may have been. When I say okay, so let me clarify first of all. I'm playing Banjo-Tooie right now for the first time in my life.
This is period straight first time. Period.
Yeah, I've played Kazooie before, and then I 100%ed it today.
Mhm.
Tooie, I have never touched, never ever. So I'm playing through it, and I like some of the streamlined advancements that they've made. I like that you can finally grab ledges. I like the pace at which you learn new moves.
Mhm.
I love the first-person shooter segments. I actually thought that was really
Great,
fun.
yeah.
But there's too many things where it's like, okay, to access this area, you need to transform into Mumbo Jumbo. And then once you do that, then you need to find a path so you can split off between Banjo and Kazooie. And then Banjo needs to go over here, and then Kazooie needs to go over there. And then you can get this one item, and then you can't even like fast reset everything. You have to go back and put all the pieces back together and make sure that you transform back and join Banjo and Kazooie together.
Yeah.
And it really rips the pace of the game for me. And I kind of felt the same way about Kirby Mass Attack, where I thought that there was an enjoyable game there, but the collection and maintenance of 10 Kirbys, it sort of just felt like a very linear Pikmin without any strategy.
Yeah.
So
They're just sort of like, yeah, it's the idea of like Zerg rushing something over and over.
yeah.
It's interesting. Banjo, I actually would like to. We'll discuss Banjo with you more and more because I love both those games. But I agree with Banjo-Tooie almost tries to do too much, and it gives you more busy work. Which those games are sort of created in a manner of like, let's just give you stuff to do. Like it's just here's an open world, and then here's more, and then here's more, and then like you said, in order to like complete the objective, it's like 5 sub-objectives that you shouldn't have to do them to that extent just to get the one done. And eventually the monotony does sort of wear thin or wear on you, which is a shame because I love, those action platformers. Mario 64 and Banjo-Kazooie I think are 2 absolutely outstanding pieces of software.
Yeah.
And now that you've had a chance, because you said earlier before the podcast, you had played it when you were younger.
Yeah. When I was a teenager, I rented it.
Yeah. Thought it was fine.
I played through with the first few levels. I think I made it to Bubble Gloop Swamp, which is like the third stage.
Sure.
And I just said I got kind of burnt out on it. And it was one of those rare instances where, you'd rent a game and you have it for 3 days.
Mhm.
And the last 2 days of that rental, I just sort of like, nah, I'm just going to play Blast Core instead. Like I was playing games that I owned rather than trying to play through the one that I had paid to temporarily access.
Right. So now that you've played through it, what do you think overall? And I'd like to know as far as like game layout and the puzzles, level design, music especially.
I love the dynamic music. I'm a fan of that in games. I think Monkey Island 2 sort of set that bar, and then Banjo-Kazooie did a great job with it. I think, unfortunately, like the bass tracks, I think Kirkhope is a very intelligent composer, and none of his music ever resonates with me.
That's fair. That's fair.
Where if you ask me to like hum a song from Banjo-Kazooie, a game that I've been playing like 5 hours a day for the past 3 days,
Mhm.
I could hum the theme song, and everything else has already left my brain.
Okay. Because that game was super earwormy for me. I can remember every track in that game with like no problem, especially Click Clock Wood.
Yeah, I was just there because that's the hardest and last level, and I can't. I don't know.
That's
And I'm like, I heard that, and I thought, yeah, that's it. And then I thought, wait, isn't that like 5 of the songs in the game?
that's also fair. Is that they have an extremely similar sort of composition. So it's unmistakably rare. It's unmistakably Kirkhope, but at the same time, it's also I can see it being framed into one sort of lump song.
Yeah, it's so fluid. The music in that game is so fluid in how it changes from area to area that nothing really stands out. I didn't get to an area and go like, oh, this song is really cool, because it all sort of just sounded like a living piece of music that played throughout the whole game, which is awesome.
But yeah, interesting credit to the composition in that regard.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. I like that synopsis. In terms of like end game, what did you think?
Well, I played the Xbox version, so I actually got to get all the stop and swap items, which I thought was really cool.
Sure.
By end game, you mean what exactly?
We'll say like actual little end of the game. So we'll say, Grunty's little like puzzle game show, last boss fight, and then we can also go into like what collecting everything in the game entails.
Those 2 things in particular, the board game I thought was cool, but I also I found her sister for the first time. She's like, here's 3 facts about Gruntilda to remember for the end of the game. And in my head, I went like, okay, I'm going to need to know this. And then I thought, this is really tedious and tiresome, and I'm just going to guess.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to kind of brute force my way through the board game like 4 or 5 times to finally get what I needed to have happen to get me through it.
Right.
But it was a cool little thing. And then the last boss fight, I would describe as surprisingly difficult, way more difficult than the entire rest of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm terrible at flying. I am terrible at flying. So, but it didn't feel out of place. I think a lot of rare final boss fights sort of feel like, wait, I have to do what now?
Donkey Kong 64.
Donkey Kong 64, Diddy Kong Racing. They're very strange things, and this felt different, but also kind of natural. It used all the skills that you developed during the course of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked it. I felt it was a good pacing, and it was a fun sort of journey to harder and harder and harder as it comes. Tui is not as memorable to me. I mean, I actually still really remember enjoying the game. I don't know if I ever 100%ed it, even in my youth, and I still got to do it for the Rare Replay collection.
One of the interesting things about the Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie for Xbox is that from an achievement standpoint, the 2 games are extremely different. So I played through Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah.
And the achievements, there were a couple sort of silly ones. But I think like the last 3 or 4, it was, get all the music notes, get all the jiggies,
right?
All those things. And so you had to have 100% really by the end of that game if you wanted to get all the achievements. And Banjo-Tooie is not that way at all. There are actually no achievements about collecting things except for one, which is to collect one egg batch, 1 music note, 1 Jinjo, and 1 group of feathers. So you get that immediately, and there's no gamer score incentive to 100% that game.
That's interesting, and maybe almost better for people so they can play through the game and not go crazy unless they truly want to.
Mm.
That's interesting. Okay.
Go crazy.
Go crazy, yeah. Go ballistic. One of the nice things, though, especially about the version you're playing now, is that it does 3 very different things, which is runs high resolution,
Yep.
runs widescreen, and has like a camera.
Yeah, the camera, I know that a lot of people, especially like 5 to 10 years younger than us, are very nostalgic about Banjo-Kazooie, like to the point of, considering it one of the greatest games they've ever played.
Sure.
Whereas I think by that point in my life, I was just sort of like, okay, well, this is another really good 3D action platformer.
Right.
But I really think the Xbox version is the way to go. I think if you have to play Banjo-Kazooie, play it. And I've also been playing Jet Force Gemini on Rare Replay, and I feel the same way about that. Like,
it's a very big step up with everything that they've enhanced.
Mm-hmm.
Or Perfect Dark, man. I mean, Perfect Dark plays infinitely better.
Yeah.
I mean, they even updated the graphics. Like, actually, they didn't just up-res. But they redid the character models and, I think some textures and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So Rare Replay Collection is still sort of at your forefront. You picked it up somewhat recently and have been going through.
Yeah, I picked it up a few months ago, and I didn't play it for the first 2 months because my Xbox, or Aaron's Xbox, was not here. And so it basically, Rare Replay is what I play when I'm not streaming, and I just kind of want to play a game. When I'm like, okay, I'm relaxing, I want to play a game, I pop on Rare Replay.
Right.
So, and I'm going through the N64 era right now for the most part, but I've also started Grabbed by the Ghoulies,
which we actually discussed briefly last week, and that's a surprisingly, I think it's a fun game.
Yeah.
I like just beating the crap out of things and not having to worry so much about, what's happening, where am I going. I guess you kind of have to figure that out. But the game is clear enough to saying, here's the next room, go destroy the crap out of everything, punch all the spiders, they all make silly noises.
Punch spiders.
Yeah, or kick them.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
or grab a chair and go off the top rope and bash them.
Yeah, it's really fun. Actually, I'll show you that game. It's a lot of fun. It's a very silly game.
It's very simple too. That's a good game to relax with because it's not tense.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't understand why they didn't put Battletoads and Battle Maniacs on Rare Replay. There's no Super Nintendo Rare.
Yeah, there's not a lot to pick from, really.
That's also true. Yeah, the big thing is it's all mostly licensed things from Nintendo.
Yeah.
And then Battle Maniacs, and then Battletoads Double Dragon.
Battletoads Double Dragon, the Donkey Kong Country trilogy, Killer Instinct.
Yeah, they didn't have a lot of options really for Super Nintendo stuff, but it was kind of a shame. I would have liked to see Battle Maniacs on there.
Yeah. I wouldn't have argued. I still think they should have done DLC for Rare Replay. Throw up the Wizards and Warriors trilogy. Give me more Spectrum games I've never heard of. Even I don't care.
Yeah. I enjoyed doing the Spectrum stuff, even though it was really clunky and slow. I love the way it was implemented, and because they have basically save states and the rewind feature.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed playing them, even if it wasn't the correct way, but it gave me the opportunity to play them in a way that I could still enjoy and appreciate.
It took all the frustration of antiquated game design out
yeah.
of the equation and just sort of let you experience what these games had to offer.
Right.
I really enjoyed Lunar Jetman. I think Lunar Jetman is one of my favorite games on this collection.
Is that the one where you drive back and forth on the planet? And grab it? It's surprisingly good. Once you understand the mechanics, at first I hated it.
It's really. I remember watching you stream it, and I had to look up how the game was played and describe it to you. But I think once you get the hang of everything that the game is throwing out there, it's a really engaging, rewarding experience.
Yeah, it got much better as I understood it, which is a very interesting concept because, for most games, I think if you know what the parameters are and you know how to play within those parameters, stuff just becomes better, sort of in general. Sorry, I'm playing with my hair.
Whip it back.
Yeah, exactly. There's been some really cool stuff that actually did come out of Comic-Con this week. 2 of which I showed Juanita today, and both of them are related to Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
And like Final Fantasy, I'm very excited that I'm excited about Sonic again. Because they have Project Sonic 17 CG, teaser, which for all intents and purposes leads to like a Generations 2 style game.
Yeah.
Now I believe they said it wasn't a sequel, so who knows if it's going to be, pulling from like past Sonic experiences for this, or if it's just going to have like 2D and 3D gameplay segments akin to what we got in Generations with brand new levels and everything. Either way, I'm okay with that because Generations felt so good that I'm totally down with, them taking care of that. But Sonic Mania, dude, like it's one of those things that actually kind of brought a tear to my eye.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, it feels right. It feels right. I love Generations so much, and I think they did great with that. But when I look at this, it makes me feel like a new Genesis game. They have sort of like the limited color palette, but they also have it stylistically designed to where it's more like Sonic CD in terms of like the complexity of what's presented. And even like little bits of soundtrack that I've heard are very reminiscent of Japanese Sonic CD, which is interesting since I am not as accustomed to or nostalgic with that, but I enjoy it in a very interesting, different way. What do you think?
I'm definitely more excited about Project Sonic, even though we know less about it. Like it's ostensibly we know as much about it as we did about Mario 128.
Sure.
The reason I think Sonic Mania looks really cool, and I want it to be good, and I want to try it out when it does come out, but I'm kind of with Ken says that Sega has to prove to him about Sonic that he's been burned too many times this past 20 years. And specifically, like, I'm not a big fan of the 3D Sonics, but there's a couple that I think are enjoyable that if you don't compare it to Sonic 2, then you'll enjoy it because like Sonic and the Secret Rings is pretty fun once you get into like upgrading all the abilities and everything. And Sonic Adventure 1 is serviceable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I even like Sonic Colors quite a bit.
Sonic Generations.
But then Generations.
Yeah, Generations is definitely the best.
Though it's while I am apprehensive as well too, I think the thing that instilled the most faith in me was that it showed like 3 different studios are sort of like co-developing Sonic Mania, and none of them were Sonic Team, and I was like, oh, that's good.
Yeah, Christian Whitehead was the one who did the mobile ports of the games.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because he did some really kind of interesting stuff where he reintegrated Hidden Palace Zone into Sonic 2. So that's playable if you play the mobile port of Sonic 2. He did the Xbox 360 ports as well, I want to say, but I'm not sure. I'm not positive about that.
Okay.
But the reason that I'm more apprehensive about Sonic Mania is that I have been too many times has Sega told me like we are getting back in touch with the roots of 2D Sonic.
They have said that a lot, yeah.
And every time it's just been a little bit wrong that makes it extremely wrong.
Yeah.
Whether it's Sonic Advance or Sonic 4 or,
yeah,
all that stuff. There's just small little things that they add in or that they don't get quite right that make it feel wrong.
Sure.
Kind of like playing Mega Man 7 versus Mega Man 2 or 3.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Also, speaking of that real quick, when you say Mega Man 2 and 3, oh yeah, Sonic 4, that bothered me. I was so excited for 4, and then after playing Generations, 4 felt like such a bad fan project. And that bothered me because it didn't.
That's the problem is that Sega's recent 2D Sonic games all kind of feel like Flash games.
Yeah, it was a very second rate. I was trying to think of the right word. Second rate. Yeah, they all got to second base. They only touched my boob, and then they went home, and I was like, that sucks. So yeah, kind of a disappointment on some of those fronts, but I honestly, the Mania thing, I will put that faith into it, and I am looking forward to it. And if I get burned, like whatever, like I'm actually not super concerned. I will just be like, all right, well, another Sonic game that didn't do it for me.
Get burned.
Yeah. Get burned.
I got burned, guys.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Write a message to Sega, be like, burned again, man.
Yeah, you burned my dad.
Burned my dad off. Yeah, it's but I am excited. And Project 2017, I'm extremely excited for as well too. Because if it is the Generations team who handles that and they handle it right in the same gameplay department, I'm pretty cool with whatever they do. I was so happy with Generations, save for the very last boss, which that's fine. I played so many games that I love that had like, at least one or two clunky parts. So that's all good. But what's really interesting, how we talked about the NES Mini last week. Oh, we didn't talk about that because you were out of town.
But I saw it.
But you saw it because it's awesome. And then Sega of Europe was like, hey, check this out. We're releasing our thing, which, that's been out in America for half a century. I mean, back
in the 60s.
Exactly. Yeah, right during Woodstock, Sega released the first 80 games in one Genesis. The same day.
Dang.
No, but Sega of Europe is actually getting this because it was like a European press release. And people are like, oh, this is so dumb. You're just, trying to copy Nintendo, or, this has been out here forever. And, of course, it's a different market, different region. But then I did see a lot of stuff get brought up regarding, well, Sega's at least has a cartridge drive. And everybody goes, yeah, but like the machine sucks because it's not like an actual like unit. It's like a weird emulator hardware. I don't know. It's
Famicom Mini.
Okay, but look, it's a piece of crap, right?
Yeah.
It's cool that it has a cart slot, but everything else about it is pretty much wrong.
Yeah.
But John, do you know about the games that are on there that aren't actual Genesis games?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Here are some of the names, Juanita, if you don't know. There's Adventure in the Park.
Wow.
Jack's P.
What?
Plumbing Contest.
Ooh, Mario.
Break a Fire Line.
Yeah. So it comes with like a handful of licensed Sega Genesis games because they say there's like the 40 in one, whatever. And it's like Streets of Rage. They choose some really interesting ones.
Yeah. They pulled Streets of Rage off of this most recent one.
I don't know. Whatever the case, like sometimes they have like Streets of Rage 2, but not 1 or 3, or 3, not 1 or 2. And like they have some interesting decisions, but then they also have just a line of games that are like, well, these are games, so they're included, therefore they're each a separate game.
Mr. Balls.
Ooh, I want to play Mr. Balls.
Whack-A-Wolf.
That's pretty sweet, actually. If they use their licensed stuff, like how like the Menacer 6-pack had Ready Aim Tomatoes, it was Toe Jam and Earl.
Yeah.
If Whack-A-Wolf was like an Altered Beast spinoff, like I'd be way more inclined to try all of these if they were just Sega characters in these dumb like shovelwares.
Dominant Amber.
Ooh.
Weird.
Lost World Sudoku. Skeleton Scale.
What?
Yeah.
Yawning Triceratops.
That's pretty
Yawning?
Yawning Triceratops. And my personal favorite, Meatloaf Rotation.
Cool. Yeah. No, it's good. They've
I want to play all those.
well, I have some in the store because people do trade them in occasionally. But yeah, that's the thing is like if it's 80 licensed Sega games in one, that's something to look at and consider and think about. But then I wanted to find my Star Fox VHS tape.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It rumbles. It
See,
vibrates your VCR.
boys.
Ooh.
It's really good, actually. We should watch that sometime. But the NES Mini, I'm excited for it. And guys, don't freak out because Sega's just doing this for Europe. And yes, it exists over here. And it's, just don't worry. It doesn't even need to be like publicized in a negative or positive
We
light.
should get
It's just
t-shirts about it.
T-shirts about it,
Yeah.
like with the story of it.
Yep.
And you get to read how Sega,
Yeah.
the PR meeting went.
Yep.
Okay. Send those out to anybody who buys one. Just a transcription of the entire conversation. Okay. However, a lot of places are reporting something right now that would be a lot of fun to talk about, and that is the new Neo Geo X,
Okay.
which is, if you shorten it, NX.
An NGX?
NTX. So, yeah, a lot of reports are coming out from a lot of different places saying that the NX is, hey, a portable console hybrid.
Yeah.
Essentially, you have like a station that you plug your system into, controllers pop in on the side, and you have like an actual home console you play on your TV, or you can pop it off and take it with you, and it's good to go. Cartridge-based media, not backwards compatible because it's not going to be using like an optical drive of any sort. So, and of course, this is all speculation, but a lot of places are reporting this currently, so we're leading to a lot of speculation that may be accurate. Time will actually tell, but what do you think?
I have a lot of feelings about this. More good than bad, but definitely some bad.
Sure.
It makes a lot of sense because you take the idea of the Wii U, which is sort of this home console with its own display that you don't need the TV to play most of the time, but it helps.
Mm-hmm.
And it sort of takes it to its next logical place of, okay, but now you really don't need this thing is everything you need, but also you can hook it up to a TV.
Right.
I like that it's sort of like a blend of, previous generation Nintendo with the creativity and the the new ideas and modern sort of like push the envelope AAA development, like go big or go home sort of thing.
Right.
Here's my biggest worry. I mean, I have worries ranging from like, if it's capable of running autonomously as a handheld, so to speak, then what is it really going to be? Because we were told that it was going to be, as powerful as PS4 and Xbox One,
right,
and all of that, and that doesn't seem feasible.
But you're right, I agree with that. Yeah.
Here's what's honestly really worrying me is that what is this going to do to Nintendo's actual portable business model? Because they've been able to coast by with some questionable business decisions on the strength of the Game Boy Advance and the DS and the 3DS. It's really kept them afloat. The fact that no one else can touch them in this handheld space.
Mm-hmm.
And like even with mobile gaming, like people still buy Nintendo handhelds and they still play portable Nintendo games.
Right.
So if you release a big console that is capable of being played on the go, then aren't you kind of fighting yourself?
I was wondering the same thing, because if Nintendo is going to release this system, it's not exactly going to be like a dual screen. Theoretically, they could also just make it, like both screens display on one screen and still make it run, with their current game design in mind. But if this takes over the portability market that they have, yeah, what next? Because that is the ultimate fallback. They've always been the kings, straight up, uncontested, of the portable market.
Yeah.
And where does this fit in their business plan? Because after this, do they focus on just this system and it's your new portable home console straight up and that's it? Or do they still have like a new DS that comes out that'll do its own thing while this functions in this way? But then what kind of like market do you have between, your 4DS Pokemon and your NX other experience? I don't know. I've wondered that as well too. And apparently there's going to be a Nintendo Direct in September, is what we're hearing, that will clarify everything about the system. But yeah, I mean, there's some unanswered questions, and that is a big concern. What have they thought about?
What have you thought about?
What do you think about it, Juanita?
I want it.
The idea of like coming home and playing Breath of the Wild and just experiencing that and being like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. And I almost like the idea of like the portability being akin to Pocket Station, so I can just play video game, like mini games that enhance my experience when I get home. Personally, I actually think it's almost more appealing. Though, of course, I know that if they're going to push it as this, removable device, you can sit in your car and play Breath of the Wild. You can sit in the bus and, heaven forbid, you're holding this $300 handheld playing Breath of the Wild. Or, go to work and play it or whatever. Or, there's a lot of questions that I have, but I'm very interested. I find it to be very appealing on a lot of levels. There's just a lot that I don't know that I wish I could speak to.
Yeah.
But I'm terribly interested.
They're just kind of letting us twist with all these reports and things.
Yeah, a lot of speculation, and what's accurate, what's not, remains to be seen.
Has anyone done any mock-ups?
Well,
there have been some silly sort of like proof of concept drawings that people have done.
Like some patents leaked out for a while, and people were making 3D models and actually printing out 3D models as well, and like taking photographs with them. And they were all completely fake, but it was just at this point, we still don't know. The public is not privy to any of the design of this entire thing at all.
That's true. My phone is $600.
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, your phone also has like a Wi-Fi built in,
true.
you know, and like GPS tracking. There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into a phone.
Your phone also has a contract.
That's also true.
I don't.
Yeah, theoretically, just like a phone you could buy for fairly cheap, but it's a contract that goes into a lot of it. Let's see. So the current rumor is that it can be removed, come home and plug it in, which will make it stronger. Basically, programmers would have to find a way to scale down the games when it's portable. That I'm actually not as worried about because a lot of games can be scaled down on an engine if it's programmed well, appropriately, or the display just can't display as in high resolution, you know, and it scales it down to like a good 480p, you know, portable experience, or 720p, you know, when on the go, whereas it's 1080p when you plug it in at home. And I don't think that would be as much of a concern, but again, you know, hard to say exactly how that would function. And Ken is saying he just wants to wait until Tokyo Game Show when they talk about it officially. That's the best way to do it.
I know it is. The problem that I'm having with Nintendo is that they're trying to have it both ways and they can't.
Mm-hmm.
Where there's a lot of developers who have already started working for this thing.
Mm-hmm.
They know what it can do.
Yeah.
They've got the full briefing and they've probably got NDA up the butt.
Right.
But they're big companies that you can't rein in all the talk.
Right.
And so it's really cool that Nintendo hasn't said damn near anything and that like it's going to be this big reveal. But the longer and the longer and the longer that it goes on, the more that people know they can probably make some fast money from some journalist somewhere by just saying like, hey, it can do this.
Right.
Don't tell anyone I told you, but it can do this.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard several things. And of course we have Ubisoft who says, hey, guys, you're really going to like this. But of course, you know, with the Wii U, they did the same thing. And it might just be good PR for them. But I also think that Nintendo marketed that system. I love the Wii U. I think it's such a great device. It was marketed so much worse than they've ever done.
Yeah.
It was not communicated clearly. It was not pushed properly. And there was a lot of issues that came up with it. And I love it to death, but there was a boatload of problems. And if they can communicate this well, they can call something else, they can disassociate from the Wii and say, this is next Nintendo, not just remember the Wii. I hope you remember the Wii because we have another Wii and it's very like the Wii, but it's not the Wii, but you like the Wii. And if they can really remarket themselves, I think the system will have a much stronger chance. Also, launching with a Zelda is certainly not going to hurt.
Yeah.
But, let's see. Level A Gaming also says, who will release the first home entertainment system? 2 monitors, 10 terabyte, 2 controllers, mouse, keyboard. Its own operating system comes with everything you need. No more purchasing pieces.
See, that's
Emerson.
you can never release the only thing you need.
Yeah.
Especially in the electronic space. Like there was a point in my life where we got a 100 megabyte hard drive, and I thought, well, that's it. This is the last hard drive we're ever going to buy.
Right.
Now I can't fit like single files that are on my computer on that hard drive.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's always going to be an evolving thing, and there will always be technology to one up itself as it comes. But we do have an interesting conversation going on between Ronnie and Ken, where Ronnie says, I'm sure Nintendo will spill at Tokyo Game Show if their system is launching in March, because, yeah, it's going to be they'll discuss it by the end of the year. There wasn't really a performance dip when games are on the Wii U gamepad, which displays at a considerably lower resolution, where Ken says, Ronnie, Bayonetta 2 dropped to 30 frames a second on a handheld when you're playing just the screen alone. I'm currently speedrunning it, checked it out, and Ronnie says, hey, 30 frames is still playable. I agree. And even on a handheld, I am actually completely okay realizing that if I'm not experiencing something on like a proprietary setup, that as long as it's still functional and like consistent, I am infinitely okay with 30 frames a second, to be totally honest, you know.
I added this kid after a game of Rocket League a couple days ago, and he wanted to talk to me about, you know, what kind of games I play and, you know, do you have this? Like, I like to play Super Nintendo at my brother's house. Like, are you PC or a console guy? And he was like, I have Witcher 3, but my computer isn't like good enough to play it. And I'm like, oh no? And he's like, yeah, it only runs like 50 frames per second.
50?
50.
Only?
Only.
Okay, so it's still very playable, just not...
Spoiled.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he refused to play it. He's like, I gotta upgrade my computer or get an Xbox One or something because
Sure.
it's 50 frames a second.
That's interesting. Okay. So I mean, and of course, everybody has their different preferences. People,
Yeah.
if they have their standard, that's cool. That's on them. But we brought this up several times. I grew up in a generation where games were 15 to 20 frames a second at any given point on the 64 very often. And I was okay. I mean, it was playable enough for me. If it could hit consistent 20, that was pretty good. If you're getting up to 24, cool, we're solid. If you're hitting 30, holy smokes. And then if every now and then something like F-Zero could actually bump up to like 60, damn, like, I must be living the high life in my ivory tower with, martinis and naked women. And now, like even to this day, I'd still rather have a game perform consistently. I love 60 frames a second, absolutely. And if a game is going to go for 60 and continuously drop down from that point, okay, that's a little bit irritating. So why not just make it 30 and never dip?
I agree completely, because when you feel a change in frame rate, unless you're playing something like R-Type, but even then, you still like, even when it's beneficial, when you feel a drop in frame rate, you're just kind of like,
Yeah. What sucks too is especially playing F-Zero X on the 64 all the time and being so blown away with how smoothly it ran. When I played it on the Virtual Console, it ran in slightly higher resolution. It was like a 480p resolution, but there was occasional frame rate dips, and that threw me off so much coming from that game that like it made it way harder for me to actually want to sit down and play it, because I knew that if I was playing it and that were to come up, it would irritate me and lessen my experience.
Yeah.
But only because it wasn't consistent. If the game was just like 30, cool. Like that's what I'm expecting, and we're getting that delivered. So, yeah, I don't know. I can deal with frame rate stuff pretty reasonably. It's so a lot to think about with the NX. We're still limited in information, but it's fun to have more to speculate on. And I'm curious to see what kind of other launch plans Nintendo has for the NX, as well as what kind of software they're going to continue to develop portably for the DS, the 3DS, and where that is going to go. Because I feel as if they release their next handheld and it goes back down to one screen, it is sort of diminishing in terms of like what they were able to offer once they mastered like the best 2D or the 2-screen sort of layout.
I feel like we need more screens.
3D, 3 screens.
I'll tell you what I've always wanted is an improbable, like impractical device that just sort of like you put it in the middle of your room and it projects onto every wall.
Perfect.
Don't speak of this.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want like a life-size Kinect, basically, that I'm inside of.
Did you see the? Do you remember the old E3 fake thing that somebody made for the Nintendo On?
It sounds familiar.
So it was basically like they showed like this preview of Mario 64, and then it zooms up around the castle, and then it zooms out, and then the castle is basically just one like tiny pixel, an entire field made up of castles that makes up another gigantic Mario 64 castle. And then like it goes all the way and zooms out, like this is like their little marketing thing. And then basically what happens is like it's this helmet thing that splits into two parts. One that you wear over your eyes, and then the projector that you put in the middle of the room that basically reads the layout and the contour and will sort of map your room into like your VR experience. And it was like somebody made this like back in like 2005, I think, 2004. It's uploaded on YouTube. It came out on IGN, and it was like a fun, just fake video that somebody had made, but they put a lot of work into it. It was really cool to see.
Yeah.
It was boring.
It was really dumb, and nobody liked it.
And Ronnie suggested Nintendo QS quad screens.
Yeah.
So that's perfect. You have like 4 different screens, and each one of them, like they shoot out an image and actually makes like a hologram in front of you. So what was the Sega hologram game in the arcade?
Time Traveler.
Time Traveler. Yeah, that's they're putting a port. And Ken says, I don't care how many screens it has, I just don't want any more motion controls. I have fibromyalgia, I can't even play the Wii because it kills me, which is fair. And I think motion controls can be a great, beneficial, well-done thing if it's also alongside the option that you don't have to do it that way. I think
Yeah.
Skyward Sword could have benefited greatly because I loved playing it with the motion controls. I think I had such a blast. But if they just put like traditional controls in there that you could just somehow, throw in on a classic controller, it probably would have widened that game's user base and level of comfort tremendously.
Yeah, I really want someone to go back and sort of hack the Wii library and assign buttons to motion controls when possible. But I think the problem with making motion controls disabled, making any kind of alternate control scheme, giving the option to disable it, like I agree. I'm totally on board with making as many games as accessible to as many people as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But when you give players the opportunity to turn things like that off, they're going to do it. And so then it becomes this point of like, why even put it in?
Yeah. Though, in all fairness, by the time I was finished with Skyward Sword, all I could think about was how much I would love to play, how much more, I'm very much in the minority with this, I would have loved to go back and play like Wind Waker with motion controls.
Ooh.
Because I felt that it added to, for me, such a degree of precision that I preferred it. And I know very few people felt that way, but I loved how much more accurate for me it became when I had those options. I loved Skyward Sword. I love that game tremendously. My biggest beef was the game layout felt less Zelda in presentation. There just wasn't as much. It wasn't as exploration based. It felt more limited, and it was more about the experience of the motion control rather than having like a more fleshed out world. So.
You said flesh.
Yeah, Flesh World.
Flesh World?
Yeah, my favorite magazine.
My favorite magazine is Scat Fancy.
Is Scat Fancy?
Yeah.
What about Flesh Pro?
Ooh. No, I like more amateur Flesh magazines.
Flesh Power.
Yeah.
Flesh Zone.
Ultra Flesh Players.
Ultra Flesh.
Yeah. So, we have a price drop on the Xbox 360.
Mm-hmm.
I mean Xbox One, sorry, to $249.
Ooh, I should get one.
Yeah, I mean at this point, like.
But I need a PS4 first.
You want a PS4 first because you're more into what's coming out for that.
Yep.
Motorstorm.
Is there a new Motorstorm?
I don't know.
Okay, I was gonna say that's not too bad. Die Hard Flesh fan, yes, absolutely.
Oh.
I actually have a bunch of Die Hard magazines back there. I love reading those. I love reading Die Hard Game Fan. I mean Flesh Fan, and they talk about Fleshbound and Flesh Trigger.
Fleshbound. I'm into that.
You're into that?
Yeah.
Psychic kids just fleshing you,
Yeah.
just rubbing your freaking labia with their minds.
Fleshbound.
Flesh World. Actually, yeah, that's actually because I'm in the middle of watching through Twin Peaks again, and so yes, that's actually very much where the Flesh World reference came from. So that makes me happy. Twin Peaks.
Best show.
Quite possibly. After watching through it even like again, I love that show. So
Excited
stupid.
for
But John,
Yeah.
what about that show you've been watching?
Oh, Stranger Things?
Yeah.
Oh, here's the problem is I finished it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I told you the way I was watching the show.
Yeah, one episode a day.
One episode a day, and not even every day, but I wouldn't watch more than one per day. And it was like a 4-day gap between the final episode and the previous episode. But I really enjoyed watching it like that, and it actually, again, it gave me more to anticipate. And now I already started watching it again with Juanita because she hadn't seen it because she's been out of the country. And so I watched episode 1 again with her.
It's so good.
And it's extra good the second time, and watching her get all excited about it is extra fun. But I'm very much into that. It still doesn't have like the legacy that something like Twin Peaks or 6 Feet Under or even Breaking Bad has to me at this point. But depending on how they continue this, I could see it being a series that I will get completely wrapped up in. And it's all just presentation. It's not that like the story is even like the most exceptional thing ever, but it's all presented so well that every time I watch it, I get like an excitement.
I am pumped.
Yeah, Juanita's pumped. Mr. Robot has been amazing. Which you need to watch tonight's episode. I actually haven't seen Mr. Robot, but I've heard a lot of good about that.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people talking about how good it is.
Mm-hmm. And now that I'm finished with Stranger Things, this might be a good time for me to start catching up on some other shows that I've been missing out on, because there's a lot that I want to watch. You don't watch a lot of TV, do you?
Nah, I don't.
Okay.
So I hear all these things, but like I'm more likely to watch a TV show than I am a movie.
Sure.
But it's still like I have to really be feeling it to do it. Where it's like, oh yeah, that sounds really cool. I have to watch that sometime. But then the prospect of sitting down and watching a TV show is just so exhausting to me. I don't do it.
Yeah.
I go out and farm instead.
Yeah, I like to go actually farm for XP. Oh yeah, I've been playing. Well, I played like an hour of I Am Setsuna since last week.
Yeah.
And I played almost nothing this entire week. But it's so far it's solid. It's making me feel good because the only beef that I have with the game really, and this isn't like this is old man rant beef.
Old beef
is that like I mean you play through Final Fantasy VI and there's magic and there's items and then here's a made up word, here's espers. What are those? I don't know, but let's find out. Espers, okay. And then espers become like the part of the game you become comfortable with because you know the name, you know what they are, you know what they do. And then eventually, Final Fantasy change it to Eidolons, which is pronounced Eidolons apparently, and they've got their own little lore. And then Final Fantasy 13 goes, oh, here's Fal'Cie and here's Luscie, and I am this and I am that, and these are my positions. And then I look at these things and I go, I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but it's more about what I do with it. And Setsuna does. I mean, it's great because you don't really have to worry about those things while you're playing. You can literally get into a battle, hit X a bunch, beat whatever enemies you're at, and then cool, like you're good. But whenever you get into like a new thing, like the magic is called something else, and the talismans are called something specific, and like all these little like nuances have these weird, intricate names that sometimes phonetically are kind of uncomfortable to pronounce.
Mm-hmm.
And so as it brings up a tutorial, once you get like a new ability or you unlock a new mechanic, the game presents it and it goes, well, here's this with like these 5 made up words. And I just go, I don't know what those are, and I almost want them to it's like when I played through Final Fantasy VIII, I remember trying to read all the Guardian Force tutorials and figure them out. And I was like, I don't get this at all.
Yeah.
But when I play through the game, you experiment, you find out, you go, oh, that's easy. Like, and it makes complete sense. And I think it's the same kind of thing with Setsuna where it gives you like a bunch of information. You're like, hey, here's all this stuff. You have no idea what it is. And it tries to explain it. And I was just like, I don't get that in any way. But I play through the game. I go to the guy. I sell this. I buy that. I equip these things. I go, okay. So I'm just sort of, it's just encryption. Magic is called this. Espers are called this. Talismans are called this. And once you sort of learn what the things are, it makes it easier just to equate what's just a different word for the same thing you've been using for 20 years.
It's like playing a game in a foreign language.
Kind of, yeah. That's essentially what it is. And it sucks because you still have, attack, tech, and item. So it's like, oh, like Chrono Trigger, I'm accustomed to that. But then if Chrono Trigger had like 10 made up words, and you just have to relearn that. So it's very good. And that was my only real, beef, but it was very easy to circumvent because I just had to figure out. Yeah, exactly. I had to sort of figure out just what was what. And
old man
riding the horse. Toaster also asks, Toaster51, not the Toaster that I know, different Toaster. You guys play Smash 4, right? And I actually rarely do at this point because I don't have time much to play games, and I don't have time to get good at competitive games, so I play Smash 4 very rarely. I love it. I think it's a blast, but I rarely play it, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's the same for me. Like, I have played it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, have time or drive to play it.
Yeah, it makes me sad because I really enjoy it. But also, my thing is I play it now very casually. I play in the most casual way possible. I like playing on all stages with items because to me, my aim isn't to get good. My aim isn't to, ready myself for a tournament. My aim is just to enjoy the game with my friends.
Yeah.
I find that with that game, I can focus on having fun a lot more if I'm not getting mad at myself for not improving. So, Ronnie also brings something up about Twin Peaks. Says, I'm a little bit skeptical about the continuation of Twin Peaks. I hope Mark Frost is reining in a little bit of David Lynch's more far-fetched ideas, since his more recent body of work has been, well, not as good. And I think that's the big thing for me anyway, is that if it was just David Lynch doing Twin Peaks, I'd feel a lot more insecure.
Yeah.
I love Lynch, but I think Mark Frost is the balance that really helped Twin Peaks maintain itself as a good David Lynch work.
No, I completely agree. Like, I don't even know if that's the case because I've never seen a Mark Frost movie, but I have seen a David Lynch movie.
Yeah, and they're out there. All of his stuff is so bizarre, and Twin Peaks is the most grounded of it. And even that's, strange, but at least it's understandable to me. Whereas Mulholland Drive, I thought it was a blast to watch, but I couldn't figure out anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was literally just like if you're like, I want to watch an art, student film.
David Lynch is the world's oldest art student.
He pretty much is. Though I did read, Colin McLaughlin had an excerpt recently where he talked about it. He just said, this is one of Lynch's best things, and I'm so excited to be back at the helm with a man of this caliber because what he's doing right now is incredible. It was something to that degree. I'm just paraphrasing, but he sounded very excited. And I also think it's important that, Colin McLaughlin, who's playing a character of this caliber, is allowed to say and allowed to, put himself into the development of a show like this. Bryan Cranston eventually ended up producing so much of Breaking Bad because it wasn't just, like the producers and directors, I can't remember their names, Vince Gilligan, that were doing these things, but he was this character. He knew this character because he became this character. So to have his input and his, value into the show was equally as important. And I feel that certain key Twin Peaks characters also get that kind of input. So I'm not too worried. But
I will watch it.
If worse comes to worse, I'll just be like, oh, that wasn't as good as I thought, and then life will go on.
Yep.
So, an Executioner says, I don't really like Smash, period. I find the game too wonky, but it's a party game for everyone, so what are you going to do, I guess? And, everything can have its own meta, and Smash has a very different type of meta, which I love and appreciate. But I definitely love... at this point, I've gotten to the degree where I just like playing Smash as a fun game because I no longer... Even the Street Fighters, I'm not going to compete in a tournament ever with these games. So I literally just have to play them with friends and just laugh the whole time because the days of competitive gaming are not for me anymore.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that Smash Brothers succeeds in a way that a game like Mario Kart doesn't, where even if you are playing with all stages and all items, it's not favoring any one player.
Mm-hmm.
It might be extremely subtly, but no one. That's the thing that always got me about people insisting on turning items off. It's look, they're there for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like if you're down 2 stocks, the game just starts putting Pokeballs in your hand.
Right. Well, so to a degree, that is true. But so you have the random luck, which I remember I was fighting a friend. I was fighting Danny DeAngelis in Smash Brothers, and he was about to kill me, and a star fell on my head. So I won that match, right? Because I was invisible.
Yeah.
That's the end. And then another one, he had actually dizzied me at one point and ran over to do a Falcon Punch. And right when he Falcon Punched, a bomb fell right in front of him. He punched it and died. I won the match. So again, it's completely random, and that's fine. But in Smash Brawl and in 4, if a character is behind enough, they will start their next life with a final smash.
Really?
Yeah, you'll come down from the heavens on the platform with this final smash installed in your body. So the moment you land, you hit B and boom, you eradicate 3 other players. That's
stupid.
So of course, and that's the Mario Kart element that they threw in there. You can turn that off, but it is implemented sort of by default for people because most people aren't going to play the game the way the competitive scene will play the game, which is also still a very small percentage of overall people who play Smash. So as a Mario Kart style feature, it gives that appeal of people who don't care about being good on a global scale, but good in their own ecosystem.
Yeah.
But
see, my big thing is I don't care. I want to be good, but I'm not gonna be a competitive pro gamer.
Yeah.
I just want my efforts to reflect results.
Yeah, I beat my friends. That's what I want to do. But yeah, I don't care about going to California and crowning myself. But if I'm playing with my buddies, it would be cool to consistently win.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm okay with that. But I'm not going to put in the effort to make it happen. I just want to reflect my own personal I can do this because I'm good at video games kind of thing. Which doesn't always work out. Is there a series you always wanted to be into just couldn't do it? You just couldn't get into it?
Yeah. Grand Theft Auto.
So you wanted to like those, but you just couldn't do it.
I every time I sit down to play them, I can maybe, if the conditions are perfect, I can get like 6 hours in of like solid, enjoyable gameplay, and then it's gone. It just evaporates into thin air.
And is that something that you apply to actually like playing through like the story, or just like messing around?
That's specifically for the story. Like the idea of playing Grand Theft Auto just to mess around, it might as well not exist for me. Because if you're like, oh well, you can park down in this universe and like steal a car and hit pedestrians and like hit a ramp and shoot a rocket launcher at a cop car, I think like, okay, that is a cool sentence. I don't need to experience that as a video game.
Sold.
That's a great
sold
bullet
me.
point on the box.
Yeah.
So would this be a game you would be interested in playing if you had like the right people to play with? Because by myself, digging around in that game, it gets very boring very quickly, but I did enjoy the story. However, playing the game with like Pat and my buddy Aaron and like, 10 other people, and we're just, jumping out of helicopters into each other's other helicopters and slicing ourselves across the city. I had such a blast doing nothing with those people.
I think you could have like one night. I could have like one night of like really crazy fun with that, and then I would never want to do it again.
That's fair. Okay. So just sort of at your indulgence, I'm going to go watch Requiem for a Dream, and then I'll never see it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
I watch it every night.
Every night before you go to bed.
Yeah.
That's your lullaby.
Yeah.
Is Jennifer Connelly just dying from drugs?
Yeah.
That's some people.
It's my thing.
That's what the Goblin King does. Sits in his castle and pumps him out all over the little puppy dog.
Watches Requiem for a Dream.
You watch it exactly. Yeah, he does. He puts it on his little CRT in the corner and watches Jennifer Connelly start like throwing up her own blood. And so by the time Sarah gets to the end of the maze, he goes, "I remember you." Sort of like
Dead.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right. He did. The Goblin King has passed.
Too soon.
Too soon. Too soon. So if you knowing what we know about the NX, what we know about the NX right now, what do you think they could do to, in your eyes, make it a successful launch?
I think they need to really think about what has. Okay, here's the thing, right? I think that most people who have played Nintendo over the years, with the ups and downs, know that they know how to make a thing fun.
Yeah.
They don't know how to communicate that. They don't know how to market that.
Right.
But they know how to create fun experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what they need to do is they need to do Tokyo Game Show or Nintendo Direct or whatever it is they do.
Mm-hmm.
And then they need to say, and you can try the NX with like these 3 games that we're working on, Breath of the Wild and these 2 other things, at your local Best Buy store, at your local Walmart, whatever. It's there. You can physically get your hands on it. You can try it and figure out what this system is all about. And then in 3 to 4 months, you can pick one up for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the big thing that Nintendo is missing, is that by not marketing well and by not catering to the masses, the only people that are getting their hands on Nintendo games are the people who only want to get their hands on Nintendo games.
Right. You already have the prescribed audience. How do you get beyond that? How do you get the Wii audience? How do you get extended audience?
You just have to get people to play it.
Yeah, I think so. The communication is going to be really big in showing people that it's a brand new, different thing and giving them that hands-on. I agree.
Like that's what they did with the N64, where they didn't even have to do it then, because at that point in time, like you could just say, "Yeah, Nintendo's got a new system coming out," and people said, "Okay, where do I give you my $200?"
Yeah, there's a new Mario that comes, it launches alongside it.
Yeah, but now it's more important, I think, that people just get to play it.
I agree, because you already have people who've got their Xbox Ones, their PS4s, their computers, or their cell phones. So, okay, well, besides like the Nintendo franchises, why would I care about this?
Mm-hmm.
I'm really hoping that they can get everything all together to unify their Nintendo account stuff, so that way anything you've bought before doesn't need to be bought again. Sony did a great job at keeping that consistent, up to the point where the PS4 couldn't play those games. But with your PS3 and your Vita, it's still tied to that account and it's still cross-buy, essentially. one thing that I actually read recently that I didn't realize is what Nintendo did with their cross-buy promotion. It wasn't so much that Nintendo did this, but their regulation. So say like Renegade Kid released Mutant Mudds for the Wii U. If you bought it, you got a code for the 3DS version. What they ended up doing is the feedback from these companies was that they essentially got half the game sales that they really wanted because somebody would buy the Wii U version of the game and then give the code to their friend for the other one who didn't need to buy it anymore because they had a free download.
Yeah.
So instead of it being tied to your account, it was just a simple code that you could just give to anybody else and be like, well, now you have this game, you didn't have to pay for it, and this company is losing out money. So if they can get a proper cross-buy with all the legacy stuff that you've downloaded, would be great, especially because if you had your little system, your new Nintendo NX on the go, and you had your entire library of Nintendo Super 64, the whole package tied to your account, if Nintendo wants to sell this NES Mini and say, remember how fun Nintendo was, keeping that legacy as part of like their downloadable library alive is going to be, I think, very important to have on day one, and having a lot of stuff available and not roll it out as slowly as they do. But we'll see.
We will see.
We'll see. I'm hoping for the best, but either way, like if it doesn't work out, life goes on. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But I'm really hoping. Yeah, and Ken says with the NX they need to market correctly. That is the big thing. Is Nintendo needs to communicate that. A lot of people thought the Wii U was just a tablet for the Wii because it's not clear that it's a brand new thing. I still get questions this very day, 4 years after the system is launched, and I still get questions about, is the Wii U just a tablet for my existing Wii? All the time. Is it a $219 tablet for my Wii? And it's like, no. So whenever I show it to people, I think they're impressed, but I physically have to be there and show them how
you have to steward their experience.
Completely. Yeah, exactly. And Executioner says, bring back Space World. God, what I wouldn't give. Absolutely. There was nothing more exciting than Space World and Shoshinkai and like all these things where Nintendo was such a presence.
Yeah.
I think the directs are a very good thing for them. I think they should keep those up, but I also believe that having a giant stage show, it makes things exciting. It makes things real. It's like, going to a concert. You can buy your band's CD, but there's nothing cooler than actually getting a chance to see them up on stage going like, this is going to be in your face, Yeah.
The
marketing is different now, but yeah. So, let's see. They don't give it to someone else because we're losing sales argument. Ken says if it's cross-buy, technically nothing is lost, which I agree. That would be no problem because it's tied to an account. My game, my 3DS is my Nintendo Network ID. My Wii U is my Nintendo Network ID. But
well, see that's the difference, right? That's the difference between physical and digital. Is
right.
That if you say, this game has cross-buy, so you buy it in the box and it has a Super Nintendo cart and it has a Game Boy cart that are somehow the same game.
Ooh.
That you have one to take on the go and one for at the house, and you could just give that cartridge to someone else and say, here's a physical good for you. Whereas when you're dealing with digital stuff, it's really more of a license. And so if there is an account you can tie it to, then you don't run into that. We, don't give it to someone else because if it's handled properly, it never has the opportunity to go to anyone else.
Right. Exactly. Let's see. And then Ronnie now says Nintendo needs to get a crash course in modern marketing and modern online game and store for infrastructure because they're still operating with a 90s mindset, in my opinion. And yeah, I mean, that's Iwata was very much a proponent for the way that Nintendo was handled structurally. And Kimishima, we all know that he's a much different force. He's a much different entity than Iwata was. But I still think, they can't change things overnight. But I think with the launch of a new system, they have the opportunity to really redo a lot of things correctly for the benefit of the company. Whether it'll happen remains to be seen. But in the middle of a system's life like this, especially a system that's, flailing in the water currently, it's probably not worth the effort to redo what's currently going on.
Yeah.
So I'm really hoping, I know I've got high hopes because I think Kimishima can really do a good job. It's just a matter of, what are they going to do and will it actually happen? Executioner also says, from the rumored specs, sounds like a rebranded NVIDIA Shield with some Nintendo games, probably lacking third-party yet again, which is not the way to go, but I'm hoping this is rumors, not truth. That's infinitely difficult to address at this point. I feel it's going to be a decently powerful system, but there's nothing but speculation. Currently, third party still remains to be seen. It sounds, again, like a lot of people are on board, but if they continue to stay on board, remains whether or not Nintendo communicates this well with their user base. Because I've heard a lot of good things from third parties, but that's just people who are excited to say, this is our risk, this is our investment. Let's see how this works, and it'll succeed or it'll fail. But
it doesn't really need to have, there's no need to be cynical of everything that Nintendo could do when they haven't said what they're going to do.
Sure.
And especially when you can't use specs as an argument for a system that's going to operate as a portable when Nintendo has been releasing things that are a couple of generations behind power-wise as handhelds and have been so dominant at it that not a single company can break the market and be second fiddle to them. They can't even be the budget alternative. Nintendo just dominates too strongly. They don't need the specs.
Yeah.
They just need to have solid design and quality games, and the third parties and all that stuff. It's going to come.
Yeah, so I'm not worried about raw power, especially as a lot of engines become scalable. It's much easier for a company like Capcom to say, okay, we're making our new game in Unity, and Unity 4 or whatever, Unreal 4 or whatever it is, can scale. And if they need to scale it to the NX, and they need to scale it to the portable element of the NX, or they need to scale it to something else, it's a lot easier for bigger companies to start making those now. If Nintendo's system, the NX, is made with that in mind. But ultimately, even the Wii U being an underpowered system has produced some unbelievable looking content, and more importantly, content that people found unquestionably fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not too worried about power. All extra power is always nice, but it's still, I've seen powerful systems put out terrible looking games, or, boring games for that matter. So, if they continue to do things stylistically the way that Nintendo has done, is Breath of the Wild technically the best looking game you've ever seen? Probably not, because it's not as realistic. But it does what a Zelda game needs to do. It presents itself in a way that a Nintendo game needs to present itself. And it's unquestionably gorgeous in the regard of this is what they're going for, and they nailed what they're going for.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
I just hope there's other launch titles. That's all. I just want something besides Zelda.
They're talking about, taking Mario in a new direction.
And I don't know what to think about that. What is that direction?
Yeah, maybe
left, Mario.
Or maybe go right to left.
Oh, yep, that's literally
the new direction. Super.
That sounds like something Nintendo would do.
I know, right?
We're gonna do a Mario in a different direction. Now it's a vertical scroller.
So what if Mario in a new direction actually comes down to a Mario 64 or Galaxy style game that's straight 2 players, not just Mario 3D World, but one that has more of an element of not level to level, but an openness that is multiplayer with Nintendo characters.
You know what I want? I want Super Adventure Island 2 as a Mario game.
Like you just replace Master Higgins with Mario?
Well, not like a straight port, but like the idea of a non-linear Mario game where you can get equipment upgrades, like basically a Mario-vania.
Okay, Mario-vania, Zelda 2, Donkey Kong Country 3.
Yeah.
Accent. That'd be interesting. I honestly would like to play a Mario game with that kind of variety, and maybe levels can change depending on what equipment you have. So, I don't know.
I want Just Dance Mario edition.
Just Dance. They almost had that with the DDR Mario.
Yeah, I just ordered a copy of that. It's coming.
Yeah, I have some pads for that in my garage, and they copy the game in the other room. That's good for me because I'm really not bad, or I'm really bad at DDR games. So DDR Mario is like the perfect game for me.
It is. It is also the only time that Waluigi has been the main villain. Also, for all those
that's interesting
weird Waluigi fans out there.
Did not realize that. Ronnie says, specs aren't really a huge concern to me. It's all about the software. Nintendo always followed Gunpei Yokoi's mantra of lateral thinking with their technology, and until the GameCube days, still did fine. What's interesting, though, is Nintendo was actually always very modest about their specs all the way through the GameCube era. Even actually the Wii, they were very modest because the Wii had to have been. But they always downplayed the power of the Wii and didn't really talk about it. And the Wii was unquestionably a very strong system. Not the Wii, I'm sorry, the GameCube.
Yeah.
For that era, the Wii, of course, is underpowered comparatively. But the GameCube was an extremely strong system, capable of a lot of amazing effects.
The problem that I found with the GameCube, because I was streaming some GameCube games a couple weeks ago, right? And I was thinking about how I'd played games in the past, like Dead to Rights or like True Crime, these sort of like multi-platform Western developed games, right? That have realistic style graphics.
Mm-hmm.
But Luigi's Mansion was a launch title, and that game still looks good.
It looks great. There are certain scenes where Luigi reaches for a handle. There's reflections on the doorknob. There's shadows. There's like crazy lighting effects. There's cast shadows all over like his hand in the door, and it's just like, dang, like, why does that look so good?
So this is how I look at Nintendo hardware, is that they're basically saying, like, look, we will give you like Hayao Miyazaki's hands to draw with.
Yeah.
But if you can't draw the way he draws, then you're gonna have some shitty looking blocky object because you're drawing with a man's dismembered hands.
Sure. Right.
But in the hands of, like, if you're willing to take artistic licenses, if you want to do something more than just like make the realist looking car you can make,
mm-hmm.
then Nintendo hardware usually does an above average, even admirable job.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Jet Set Radio on the Dreamcast.
Mm-hmm.
The Dreamcast games have not aged well for the most part. They don't really look all that good.
Mm-hmm.
Jet Set Radio still does, and it probably will forever because they used actual artistry to mask the limitations of the hardware.
Right. Stylistic aesthetics.
Yeah, and when you do that, any game can look good. You can make beautiful 8-bit and 16-bit games that are on par with anything you've seen.
Yeah.
As long as you do it, as long as you have talented artists to sort of bridge that gap.
Yeah. What I love, and I think about the Super Nintendo often when I think of this, is on a system that has a game, that looks as good as Donkey Kong Country 3.
Mm-hmm.
You also have Earthbound, which is very simple in its style, but it's deliberately done in such a way that they're focusing on the simplicity is part of the game's design.
Yes.
Whereas you have a game like Beavis and Butthead or Ren and Stimpy or one of these other licensed games where you look at it and go, it's not good looking. I guess Ren and Stimpy actually looks fine. But Beavis and Butthead's kind of an ugly game, and there's a lot of other ugly games out there, but it's all the same hardware. So really it comes down to, hey, here's the tools, here's the canvas, but it depends on exactly what you're going for. Do you want something that'll hold up, or do you want something that people will remember because it's iconic?
Yeah, look at the difference between how Family Dog and Earthworm Jim on the Super Nintendo look.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, like they might as well be different systems.
Family Dog.
Did I ever tell you my story with Family Dog?
Mm-mm.
Right on.
I know the story.
Once upon a time, I was like 11 years old.
That was like in the 1800s.
It was about 1840, and my
Super
family.
Nintendo had just come out.
Nintendo had just come out, yeah, after my ancestors in Japan had just conquered some castle, and they released the Super Nintendo to commemorate the victory. And so I went to family. What was it called? Front Row Seat. It was a video store here. The very first video store. And it was like an emporium, man. This place was so massive. It was so huge. It was like basically a Smith's that was like a video store. It was huge. Costco. It was not as big as a Costco. I know. And I rented Family Dog and took it home and played it that first evening and was like, this game sucks so bad. And then a couple days later, I was like, well, I don't want to play this anymore. And it was due. But I wasn't playing it, so I forgot that it was due. And then like a week later, I was like, oh shit, that game's like a week overdue. So I ended up taking the game and like throwing it behind the TV. And I somehow managed to convince my parents not to go back to the video store. Like, I avoided renting new games for like a month and a half. And finally one day they're like, oh, we want to go rent, Indiana Jones or something. And so they drove down there. And they're like, you had a game that's been overdue for almost 2 months. And my parents were like, what happened? And I was like, I don't know. I thought we took it back. I thought we returned it. And so then we went back to the house, and then I accidentally found it behind the TV. Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought we returned this. I'm a terrible liar.
Yeah.
And then that was my experience with Family Dog.
What is Family Dog?
It was a Steven Spielberg cartoon.
Steven Spielberg and Tim Burton, I believe.
Yeah, I had a very Tim Burton kind of feel. It was very simple and terrible looking. And as a cartoon, I can't speak to it because I actually don't think I ever watched the cartoon. I remember when it came out, but I never saw it. But damn, the game sucked. Like it controlled badly.
Throw it behind the TV.
Yes.
That's where
it belonged.
You get rid of problems.
Exactly. Yep. That's what
Okay.
happened. Old math papers and video games and VHS tapes of me recording myself peeing and missing. I don't know, like
Missing peeing?
no missing like just reminiscing about how much I miss peeing. No, like missing the toilet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
like,
really feel like you actually did that.
I didn't, but I should have. It wouldn't surprise me if that had happened.
Yeah, I was prepared to accept that as a true story.
I did pee on the cat though. I told you about that. I mean, and that was actually like 2 years ago. But
Oh yeah. Larry.
yeah, I peed on Larry. That was not on purpose though. It was because he jumped on the back of the toilet when I was in the middle of peeing,
I remember.
and then he fell because he's clumsy, and he fell right into my pee stream. And my option was either to pee on him or pee away from the toilet. And I couldn't react fast enough to pee anywhere properly, so I ended up peeing all over the place and on Larry.
Oh man.
Yeah, that sucked.
I was here that day.
Yeah, you were. Or Larry. Oh well. Family Dog, what a bomb of a show. I didn't get to watch it due to my parents trying to protect me from adult humor at my young age at the time, or just a shitty show. Either way, I'm blessed because it was not. It was not. There was a lot of mediocre games in that era. I'll praise the Super Nintendo to the day I die, but there's also a counterbalance of so much garbage.
Yeah.
But hey, even if one person out there likes Family Dog, it validates it enough for me to say that I'm glad that game exists.
That's the beauty of the speedrunning community, is that people will play shitty games and learn them front to back, and in a way learn to love them because they want to be the best at something.
Mhm.
Like I watched I think it was this last SGDQ, maybe it was the one the AGDQ before that, but someone did a speedrun of Beethoven on the Super Nintendo.
Ooh.
Yeah, and that's a terrible game.
Yes.
But someone took the time to like route it and learn like damage boosts and
Some rocket jumping.
and learn how to beat Beethoven the best way possible.
It is kind of cool. I think it's neat that a game can be understood so well that, and maybe somebody doesn't appreciate it, but they have to appreciate it to the degree where they understand all the programming nuances that allow them to beat it quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it's fascinating to me, and I actually do kind of like that as well, too. I think it's neat that every game out there can have its own degree of metagame, no matter how good or bad it might be, and that's all it takes. If somebody can appreciate it, then I won't invalidate a single game. Even if it's my least favorite game on the planet, if it means something to somebody, then it's important.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of my favorite experiences in the world is probably somebody else's least favorite, and I don't want anybody to discount that. So
Speaking of, I sent you a link this morning of a new mod for Doom 2.
you did. I actually didn't get a chance to watch it. I just saw what it was about, and I was thrilled to death.
It's pretty interesting to see it in action.
So, Juanita, I've talked about
Just pull up the video. Just pull up the video. You guys can watch the video.
Can we?
You can screen share it. Yeah, totally.
Okay, let's do this. We're gonna screen share this. Okay, I hope you're prepared.
Prepare yourself.
2 days ago, 1 month ago. Oh, that's a dude named Godhand playing Doom 3. Okay. All right. So, whoops. No. It's really funny.
Ooh.
Okay. So, I don't know if anybody knows, but Godhand is one of my favorite games of all time. Anything Platinum does is usually my favorite game of all time. And I got to screen share. All right. And so, here's what we're going to do. Can you see the whole screen?
I can't see anything yet.
Oh, because I have to actually select it. Okay. If I do this,
Yeah, I see it. Yep, perfect.
Okay. So this is Godhand mod, where this is Gene, Star of Godhand, in the world of Doom 2 currently.
Oh, okay.
So
I like the music.
Yeah, God Hand music is absolutely terrific. Die.
Ooh, I really like the music. He's just messing those bros
It
up.
does. It kicks him to death. Yeah, this is a pretty fantastic idea. All right, I think you sort of get the general idea of what that's about. But let's see. Let's stop. Okay, did it work?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so when I first saw the idea of it, I was actually under the impression that it was going to be like a full-on 3D model. It looks like they ended up just making like, you know, a 2D animation that would play out for him running, for him moving, for him attacking, but in the perspective of God Hand, using, you know, probably like the Brutal Doom engine or something like that, where it gave you up and down, you had, you know, different axes to work on, to allow Gene to like go destroy these demons the way Gene would in God Hand.
Yeah.
So that's very silly, and it's a very fun aesthetic. And
this is from the same modder who incorporated Duke Nukem 3D's weapon set into Duck Hunt.
like the shrink ray and stuff.
The only parts that I saw were like the pistol and the shotgun, and I think the pipe bomb.
That's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Duck Hunt is a good idea. Well, that sucks that IGN would never enjoy something like that.
Yeah, IGN, did not like God Hand.
Yeah, there's a lot of games that scored higher that I do not believe were better games. And again, I'm all for each their own, but this is the danger of having like a big studio that you show your reviews to people and they go, oh, that must be definitive because some other guy who's also just a guy thought this. Yeah, that's my problem with institutionalized reviews. Is that they portray nearly enough to be, I think, worthwhile. I like reading why. I like reading that I didn't like this because it was too long, it was too short, I had a hard time with this control. And it doesn't ever really make sense for me because a lot of my favorite games were sort of panned by a lot of folks, and that's how it goes. That's where we come from. It's where we die.
I'm ready.
Ready to die. What about you? Not time?
Nope.
When?
Few hours.
Okay, so like at midnight?
Yeah.
All right.
After you eat a couple corn dogs.
Oh, I don't like corn dogs.
You don't like corn dogs?
No.
How do you feel about what's your favorite way to eat a dog?
Dipped in corn?
I had a hot dog today that I dipped in nacho cheese.
That's pretty good.
That's true. We went to a baseball
was
game.
Delicious.
That's actually why we're a little bit late, is because we were out at a baseball game where they're doing a Pokemon event. It's really funny, too, because Pokemon Go, I'm still enjoying it, still having a good time, but I like playing it, like, not in a hurry because I got so much time to play this crap. That you go to the Isotopes Park, and there's a single gym there, which is where like, you check in, and, like, no Pokestops. And so, like, there's also nothing around, so they let people go on the field and look for Pokemon for, like, half an hour. And there was absolutely nothing out there.
Zubat.
The only reason we had Zubats and stuff is because we put incenses on ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Or else
like,
we wouldn't have got anything.
yeah, I don't think I would have seen anything natively out there, which is really funny. So, you know,
That's fun.
the baseball park, I'm glad they did the event, but they were not equipped to do anything with it, which is actually why we don't really hold those events at the store yet, is because I can't offer a lot in terms of, you know, hey, come here and find Pokemon, because it's not a park, it's not a body of water, it's just it's an industrial area with one thing close to us, and that's my old store. So, yeah, it's you know, I'm excited for it to grow a little bit. Sounds like Niantic is addressing a lot of the next update and what they're going to be doing with it, adding battling, adding trading, you know, when the next generation is going to be showing up, other little fixes and secrets, Easter eggs, and things of that nature. So I was like that. They even said that like where the game currently is at 10% of where they want it to be. So it's fun to think that the game is going to constantly evolve. And I think, I think one of the privileges of being an early adopter is actually getting to watch things progress. Honestly, one of my favorite parts about the Xbox 360 is anytime anybody ever trades one in, heaven forbid, and it's the first OS
Yeah.
where it's like the shades, I think it's phenomenal to see where it's come from.
Yep.
I love it.
I still wish you could roll back to the Blade interface.
I kind of do too, actually. I really liked it. It was, I think, almost a better integration.
If nothing else, I would have 900% fewer Dr. Pepper ads.
Oh, but then how would you know where to get Dr. Pepper or even what it is?
I don't even feel like Xbox. I don't think you can convey through the magic of advertising what Dr. Pepper is.
Is that your favorite soda?
No, it's my roommate's favorite soda.
What is your favorite soda?
Root beer.
Was that your favorite soda, or are you just guessing that mine is root beer? That was a very emphatic guess, if that was the case. I think that Mountain Dew Live Wire is probably my favorite soda.
Is that sort of like an orangey?
Yeah, it's the orange one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
I would like lick a dog's teeth if I could get like Live Wire sent to me on the regular.
Would you lick Beethoven's teeth or Family Dog's teeth?
I would prefer to lick Family Dog's teeth.
Why?
They're animated.
Oh, that's fair. But what if like they're animated with like lots of diseases and plaque?
What about Beethoven?
Lots
Yeah.
of
He's a real dog, so he's got actual diseases and plaque.
Yeah, I'd prefer to have cartoon diseases.
Would you?
Yeah.
What if like they're more robust in terms of the symptoms? Like what if like
Yeah, but then I could just like swallow like a cartoon pill and like have germs, fight germs.
Dr. Mario?
Yeah.
Okay. So Mountain Dew Live Wire.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I'm a big fan of root beer as well too, especially like I guess home brewed stuff, like stuff that you buy locally from like breweries.
Yeah, that's definitely the way to go.
One from
Always
that
my
malt
favorite.
shop.
Oh yeah, there's a
That
place
was the
down here,
best.
Route 66 Malt Shop is the best root beer I've ever had in my life, like hands down.
There's a burger place. There's a new burger place in town that I don't even think is that new, but I've never heard of it and I've never known anyone to eat there, and I'm really, really curious.
A place as big as Cruces too. That's really funny.
Yeah, and it's
A burger urban legend.
yeah. I know where it's located. I've seen pictures of the inside, and I don't think it's real. I think it's
Weird. You've seen pictures, but you haven't actually. You've seen it.
I want to
Yeah.
go there.
What's it called?
Zeebs.
Wait, like Metroid?
No, like Zeebs.
Ah.
Close. Oh, that's so close.
Yeah.
They could have made me drive down there to get a Metroid burger. If there was a Nintendo themed restaurant, I feel I would eat there.
I would work there.
That's true. I would actually, sell Gamers Anonymous and then just get a job making hamburgers that were in the shape of Tauros
Metroid burger.
or Metroids. If they were just Nintendo themed in general, I'd be doing a lot of Nintendo promotions. I wish.
You should just make your Nintendo cookbook. Grilled portobello Goomba burgers.
Oh.
It's not a bad idea.
Nope.
Tangela fries.
Yeah.
The Pokemon
Just
company.
curly fries, but you just make them in a big mess ball.
Yeah, exactly. Just smash them together and hand them to somebody, to some kid. Go through all the old Nintendo powers and see what kinds of recipes they could come up with. Oh, okay. So no new Darkstalkers. I saw Lilith sitting on my my counter over here and was thinking about how that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Oh well. Sorry.
You can make a Darkstalkers taco, though.
I've never played
Dark tacos?
Stalkers.
Yeah.
Dark Taco.
Yeah. You know what I really find to be interesting is the fascination with things being like dark. Like like when I was young or whatever, it was always, things were of doom. I don't know if that's like a thing anymore, but when I was like, 15 years old,
Yeah.
of doom or clown of doom or dog of doom or whatever of doom was just like that was the thing. Because if it was of doom, it was like, I'm funny and edgy. But then like it's more like a comedic kind of presentation, thing of doom. But like I go online and there's Dark Sonic or there's Dark Mewtwo or there's Dark Bubsy or what, like heaven
Dark
forbid.
Bubsy.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I'm positive that out there someone has like made Dark Bubsy,
Dark Link.
Dark Link. And it's not to say they don't like dark things, but I always find it interesting that like there's such an attraction to the idea of like a dark persona of something like Dark Chrono,
Yeah.
Dark Propel, or something.
There's a term that is used derisively for people who are into those kinds of things, which is edgelord, which I love because A, it describes them pretty accurately, but B, in my mind, when I hear edgelord, I think of the people who were generals in the conquest mode of the arcade version of Soul Calibur 2.
Yeah,
who
yeah.
also probably like, like Dark. What's a good example? Dark Captain Falcon.
Oh no, it's Captain Falcon with the like Blood Falcon, I guess.
It's Captain Falcon, but inside of the Blue Falcon, he's listening to like My Chemical Romance.
Or yeah, Linkin Park or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really dark. I was okay. See how like this Pokemon Go thing has like this faction division going on, and
Yes.
everybody's there's the 3 different teams. There's the Mystic, Valor, and Instinct, and I'm part of like this global Valor group because whatever. Like I really enjoy watching people talk and discuss and have a good time, and it's it's sort of whatever. But like sometimes things get out of hand. And this one dude wrote one day, he screenshotted this picture. He goes, "Hey, I went to this Mystic group and I said eat a camel dick, LOL, #Valor." And then he screenshotted it to show everybody, and people were like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
It wasn't like really clever, and I have no problem, with being like silly, with my friends. And this other dude was like part of like the bro appreciation force, and he comes in and he goes, "You know what, man, that was really great." And it sucks that people can't appreciate humor like that. I got a really dark sense of humor too, and it was so cool that you could do that, because some people don't like dark humor, and I was like, that's not even like, this isn't talking about like starving kids and making light of it. That's dark humor. This was you running into a room, saying something that nobody understood, and then leaving before they got a chance to process it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't a dark comedy, And I was even so, I like dark situations. I like inappropriate humor. I will even talk about camel dicks and horse peepees and like things like that. But it's for a specific audience and at a specific time.
Horse peepees.
Right. But there's a way to present it. There's a way to do it. And being like uninvited into somebody's house and then doing that isn't really dark humor. It's just sort of like, why? It was kind of like this isn't,
Yeah. There are people who like there's a reason why all this happens, and it really boils down to like trying really hard to be thought of as funny as a way, because like comedy is typically born out of pain. Sure. Or isolation and like wanting to be accepted, and so you are fun. You make things funny in order to not have to deal with them being shitty and hurting.
Right.
And so then some people try like skip that step, mm-hmm. where they're like, "Oh, everyone likes this funny person, and I wish people liked me as much as they like that person. So I'm just gonna scream like ISIS poop at every place I go."
Right.
And that's going to get me the friends. And it's like,
yeah, it might get you certain friends,
yeah,
they're friends that you want leaves, remains to be seen. But yeah, that's fair. It is sort of like I want the validation. I'm seeking, something that will allow me to be part of the subculture, and, but also to take a stand and, well, if you don't think I'm funny, then go die or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I do see like, it's a very large dichotomy in these groups is people, they're very resistant. But if somebody says, "Hey man, like that's not cool, or it hurts my feelings, or it's offensive," they go, well, suck it up and quit being a dick pansy or whatever. And it's really interesting the kind of power that people either get or try to enforce. So dick pansy, I don't know.
Fucking dick.
But hey, that's what you're gonna do. That's what you're gonna do. I usually think it's just best to like ignore that kind of stuff, because you're gonna see all kinds of junk you don't like all over the place, and giving power to it by addressing it is just kind of like, all right, you're feeding into it in any way, and the moment you stop feeding it, it disappears.
Yeah.
So, but I always find it funny when trolls get trolled as well. This happened today on the page where somebody posted a picture of Zero Suit Samus and Link, and was like, who's gonna win, Metroid or Zelda? Which is that's just. It's the old humor of the characters being mistaken. Mm-hmm. And then, so I start playing into it. People are like, that's Link and that's Samus. She's like the hero from like the Metroid games, and I was like, right. So I actually just kept going with my own joke because I know, but it's fun because it comes to a point where people want to sort of consistently prove that they're right rather than that this could be something funny. There's also a Facebook group that was made for Christians against Pokemon Go, which is same thing for Christians for Michelle Bachmann, and it's just a troll page where people go over there and then react as if it's real, and they might be re-trolling as well. They might be trolling just to feed into it and get everybody else's panties in a bunch, but the original people who made the page are already doing the trolling.
Yeah.
A lot of interesting reactions where it's like, this doesn't make any sense. I'm Christian in this. I don't believe in this. And it's like, yeah, you're getting trolled.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's really funny. Every now and then it can be presented in a way that makes me laugh, but I don't know if it's dark humor or not.
Camel dick.
Yeah. Dude, that's so dark. Yeah.
Like, how would you even think of a camel's dick?
Yeah, you're so crazy. It's fun. And ultimately, this is what we talk about in the Blue Lady podcast often is people are going to do what they're going to do. And there's no reason to get worked up. There's no reason to be upset because that's not making it about you. It's just, it's people just do what they do, whether you're there or not. So depends on if you want to feed into it. And I find it best to just, if that's what people are going to do, let them do it. There's no reason not to. Whatever. If it really bothers me, I'll leave the group because that's the power that I have.
Mm-hmm.
And there you have it.
Yeah.
So, well, I am a little bit more subdued tonight because I am kind of tired. I got to work again tomorrow. I got to cry again tomorrow.
Gonna live the human experience.
Yeah, to work and cry.
The dark human.
That's right.
There's someone out there who's a fan of Dark John.
You made like a fan fiction or like drew a picture?
Yeah.
It just me, but I have like purple skin and red eyes.
Yep.
Blood Orochi John. I wish. Oh, I love it.
That should be your Halloween costume.
This is just a dark version of me, Nega John.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's fun to make fun of it. It's fun to be silly about, but I don't ever really want to actually discredit what people enjoy. Because just because I don't, get into it doesn't mean I don't think other people shouldn't be into it. I think there's sort of a way to conduct it so it's not obtrusive to others. Like the camel dick. Go home and talk about camel dicks all day, and that's the greatest thing ever. I think if you're sort of lessening somebody else's experience of something, it probably should be reconsidered. But whatever you like, if you're into dark things, if you're into dark humor, you're into dark camel dicks, if you're into, My Little Pony.
Are the dicks dark or are the camels dark?
Well, the camels have a camel normally has a light dick, but if
right, yeah. But they're known for being able to you take them out into the desert because there's no light sources, and so they can just sort of shine the path.
They have a black light dick too.
Oh, so
yeah.
it's just...
when the wise men were on their way to find baby Jesus, they used the regular light camel dicks, and when King Herod was looking for all the jizz on the doors, he was using the black light dark camel dicks. I think
so. It's just like you just breed whatever you need.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they have like a breeding canal.
But here's the thing about a black light camel dick, right?
Yeah.
The camel busts a nut, lady camel.
Yeah.
And doesn't clean up.
Right.
Won't the black light camel dick become a bright camel dick?
That's how they make the bright camel dicks.
Oh, okay.
It is born from impurity. So that's sort of like the baptism of the camel's wiener.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the science part of the show that I was talking about. Actually, what I did want to talk about was a friend of mine who lives out in Florida. I was talking to her today about video games, and she's one of Pi's friends. I don't know if you know her, Rihanna.
I know the name.
Okay. So we were talking today about video games, and she was like, I don't even really like Pac-Man because it gives me too much anxiety when ghosts show up. And so she doesn't really play games because they make her too anxious. And I was the idea of games that do choose to present anxiety or choose not to. Pac-Man I never equated with it, but it makes sense because you're being pursued by something that wants you dead, and you have to escape from that thing.
Yeah.
Presented in such a way that like you don't feel the same kind of tension because it's really, well, if I die, I'm dead.
It's a horror game.
It kind of is in a way. You're in this terrible maze. But then I was thinking about like Resident Evil 4 spooked me more than a lot of the old Resident Evils because those were jump scares. But the idea of things constantly pursuing me, constantly walking after me in Resident Evil 4, throwing things at me, and I had a lot more control of my environment. But these things also had more control over, jumping into a window or climbing up a roof or, jumping at me from behind. And I felt such an intensity from that game that might have been one of the first games that made me feel sort of anxious. Maybe Silent Hill 2 or 3 actually did. But anxiety in video games, like
I get anxiety.
Like, do you generally feel like anxious to the point where you can't play, or do you feel like it's kind of like a fun thrill that is part of your experience?
A fun thrill.
Okay, right on. Do you get like scared playing games?
I don't typically, but I agree that it's generally like anxiety in the game when you're like screaming or saying like oh shit, like because you're about to die. Like that's my roller coaster basically.
Yeah,
but I do have the bad kind of anxiety in video games in the complete opposite situation where if I'm playing a point and click or something where I can't solve a puzzle, I can't figure out what I'm supposed to do to solve a puzzle. And I spend like 40 minutes trying different things, my skin will start to crawl and I'll have to like stop playing because I'm just so frustrated trying to move past this solution.
Sure.
When we played The Walking Dead, that gave me anxiety.
He did the Telltale one, the point and click style one. Okay. Yeah.
Because having to like choose.
Oh yeah, having to make decisions, especially on a timer, where it's like, not just do good or bad, but hey, one of these two people is going to die and you get to choose. Like, that is exciting and it's terrifying. It's terrible to have to be in charge of somebody's life, even if it's not real. That's a lot of power.
What if it is real?
Oh no. We killed Duck.
Or like Until Dawn.
Little boy. Oh yeah, Until Dawn. Man, I died a lot in that game and I couldn't figure out why. But it was kind of cool because things are very arbitrary. Like you could just walk down the wrong hallway and shoot, Like you walk across the wrong stretch of road and a car might barrel through the stop sign and destroy you. Like, yeah.
I get anxiety just thinking about it.
Yeah. And Ken even says I've had Pac-Man stressful, and Ronnie says Pac-Man, the original survival horror game.
It is. You have 4 resources to fight back against the monsters.
Yeah, and if you're out of those, well, you better hope you can outmaneuver them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pac-Man's interesting. But yeah, that completely makes sense. I kind of like when there's a fun tension, though. Like, like a really good boss fight. And I also like when there's like an unknown factor. When I was playing through Dragon Quest VIII, I remember getting to like this really far boss. It was actually Dol Magus, like the main villain, but you fight him several times. And I was fighting and fighting and fighting. And you don't know how many HP he has, but you know how many you have. And 3 out of 4 of my characters are dead. And it comes down to literally like the last 2 hits that I'm able to do to kill him. And just I had like literally 3 HP left. And I was like, the next attack he does will kill me. There's nothing I'm going to be able to do. But I gave the last attack my all because that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
And I won. And it was the most thrilling RPG fight of my life. And I remember it so well. And like there's 3 other people in the room watching. And that's not the kind of game that like you watch because it's intense, but for some reason it just so happened it was set up with 3 people on the edge of their seats, and we all cheered when the battle was over and Dol Magus fell over and the cutscene commenced because that was the do or die moment, and getting down to literally the last hit, like in Street Fighter when both people's energy is at 0. That last hit is the exciting hit because it could be anybody. It could go both ways. I like it. Do you have like a moment of triumph, like a moment of like we barely pulled through?
Do I?
Yeah.
There's a story that I've been telling people a lot lately. This happened a year or 2 ago where I was playing through Pokemon Crystal again. And I reached the death gym in that game, which is the normal type gym, Whitney's gym. Which is famous because she is extremely powerful for most people at that point in the game. She's got like a level 20 Miltank that is devastating.
Yeah.
And I died at her a couple times, and I went in again, and I was not winning. But I don't remember what my team was, but I came down to having 2 Pokemon left, and I forgot what those Pokemon were.
Oh,
I don't remember what the 5th one was, but I know that it was not damaging the Miltank whatsoever. So I was just basically debuffing it every turn I had, just making it worse so that when it died, the 6th Pokemon could come in and save the day, right?
Mhm.
So, like Stand Attack and like Growl and just like lowering all the stats on this Miltank that I can.
Praying to God you're weakening this thing enough.
Yep. And so my 5th Pokemon dies, and in comes my Ringer, my 6th Pokemon. And I remember at this moment that I'm leveling up a Magikarp.
Oh.
And so all I can do is splash at this Miltank, hoping that I can run out of PP and start struggling it.
Yeah.
And the Miltank is trying to hit me, but I've lowered its accuracy and its damage so much that it can't. And so we're just like, I'm flailing, just trying to run out this meter while it's like hitting me for 1, like every 5 turns, or hitting me for like 3. And finally I run out of PP, and so I just start struggling. Like I'm mashing the controller, even though like nothing's gonna change.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to race these 2. I got to make up ground and get this HP bar down. But at the same time, I'm taking damage because that's how struggle works.
Right.
And sure enough, I beat that gym with a Magikarp by struggling the Miltank to death.
Dang. That's
And I flipped the controller up and I like jumped off the couch. Like that was a big moment of triumph for me. Just because it was so improbable.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Why would that work? It shouldn't, for all intents and purposes.
They should make a movie about that.
They should, yeah.
It's epic.
With George Burns as the Miltank?
Yeah. And Michael Cera as me.
As Radon?
I thought the Magikarp.
Oh. Who do you get to play the Magikarp?
Jennifer Hudson.
She's good. Yeah, she'd be she's a method actor.
Yeah.
The Carp. I might go play more Setsuna. Or Uncharted. I'm actually still going back and forth through the 2, and I played a little bit of Uncharted today to show Juanita, because that game is still great.
It's a good slush.
Solid slush. There was one more post in the Pokemon group. I love reading, the reactions of people that are very much like, well, this is my opinion, therefore. Everybody's entitled to it. I'm cool with that. I always appreciate it, actually. Even if I disagree vehemently, I think it's cool that you can express that. However, it was like 4 different options. Which company do you think should go? Bethesda, Rockstar, Naughty Dog, or somebody else. I can't remember offhand who it was, but it was like 4 different major companies with that make like really good popular games. And some dude at the bottom was like, "Oh, are you kidding? You guys at Rockstar? Like, they make shitty games and literally nobody wants them." And may have been trolling, but I was just like thinking, Grand Theft Auto 5,
Yeah.
Like, nobody likes Grand Theft Auto games. They're so boring. And it was like that game just won like 6 awards the other day for being like the best-selling game in the universe. So, I could have been getting trolled, perhaps, but it didn't get a response, and it sparked a conversation that other people like, well, nobody likes Naughty Dog games. And I was like, here's the problem with statements like that.
Yeah. This question is phrased in such a way as to be difficult.
Yeah.
It's not like which one of these companies has to go. Like Nintendo or Square Enix or like
yeah.
What?
LJN.
Yeah, or LJN. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or PF Magic, the makers of balls.
Yeah. Majesco. Yeah. Ooh, PF Magic.
Just
Do you know what the PF reportedly stands for?
Paul Frank.
That's a good guess, yeah. Pure fucking.
Is this the truth?
I don't know if it's been confirmed.
pure.
That's actually like a new surfboarding brand.
Yeah. Pure fucking.
Oh, something. Whenever we check games into our computer at the store, it pulls from price charting. And what's the name of the game with the surfing gorilla and the surfing cat?
TNC Surf Designs.
Correct. However, the way it's displayed in our computer, which makes it difficult to research, is Town and Country Wooden Waterworks Surf Designs. So you can't just search TNC. You have to search for like town. You can just type in a keyword. You can type town country and it'll bring it up. But it never occurs to me because on the label, sure, surf designs is like literally like the last part of like this 18-letter word thing. But on the very top of the label it says TNC Surf Designs, which is where we all know that from, is because that's what the label says.
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere on the game other than that, it actually says everything fully spelt out. And so the database that we pull from uses the full name as well.
Damn.
But then they label the Game Boy as the Game Boy Advanced. And like other little things like that. There's a couple of the weird nuances, like how people would call Wind Waker like the Wind Walker or things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple little things like that every now and then that I come across. I'm like, this is wrong. This is the wrong name. I need to know what I'm looking up because this is not helping me find the game if I'm typing it in correctly.
Yeah.
We had somebody who came in one time when I was at GameStop 12 years ago, and he was asking for Warcraft: The Rosen Thorn.
It took me a second. I was like, what were the... Oh, my God.
At the time, it took me a second, too, because I was like, I don't know if I'm... Oh, yeah, because we had like a gigantic picture of like, Frozen Throne in the back of the store on a big standee. But, yeah. Or Kingdom of Hearts.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always interesting ones. Somebody came in once and asked for Capcom versus Capcom, and I was like, "You mean Street Fighter?"
Ronnie, actually, who's been chatting with us all night, among other people. Thank you guys. It's been a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
I like reading all this stuff.
He told me a story that I'm going to steal from him right now because
Sure.
it's much easier for me to. I have the mic. Where a customer came into a store and made a purchase, and he said credit or debit, and the customer said crebit.
Oh, what do you do? I would just pick one.
Rabbit.
Yeah, like, okay, clearly it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Either. That's good.
That made me laugh a lot because I like dumb words like that.
I do too. That's good. That's fun. Yeah, it's fun to have fun with customers. I always I still do this from time to time, and I don't mean to be like snarky, but like if I'm in like a playful mood, it only comes from being playful. And like people walk into the store, and they say, "Did you guys move?" And sometimes I answer no. And they go, "But weren't you over there?" And I said, "Yeah, we still are." What? And I said, "I'm just kidding. Yeah, we moved in November." And he goes, "Oh, okay, because this is a bigger spot." And I was like, and I'll just sort of like mess with people, not in a way to make them feel bad or dumb, because I don't really want to do that. But I do sort of enjoy playing, with people occasionally, because it's important for me to have fun with people. And I've never made somebody feel bad. It's always in a very light-spirited, kind of way. So none of this dark humor.
That was dark.
None of the dark humor that I'm really, capable of.
You just got to tell people that you are the new game selling arm of Domino's Pizza.
Exactly. We're an expansion to this franchise. That'd be incredible.
If you could just like order a medium 2-topping pizza and a copy of Mortal Kombat 3 and have it delivered to your door.
That would be so. I had actually looked into the idea of possibly doing like game delivery.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have the means to like, take Square remotely and, people can buy stuff or hand me cash. But the idea of me delivering people, video games around the city is really fun. The only thing I wouldn't want to do is, put myself in any sort of danger, which is ultimately what we had to sort of weigh out.
What you need to do is contract like a single Uber driver.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah.
To just hang out in front of your store, and then you go like, oh, we got to pick up. Like you just hand them a bag full of games, and then they go drive it over there.
Yeah, and ultimately, hopefully, the cost of what I make from the games outweighs how much the Uber driver charges.
Well, you just have to you upcharge. You charge a delivery fee.
That makes sense. Yeah. Let's see. I feel like retail workers should be legally allowed to assault stupid or rude customers 3 times a month. This is tricky for me because if we're actually going to delve into this, like with like the Blue Lady podcast, is I actually don't believe in customers being stupid or rude. I believe in them being who they are, and it might not coincide with, standard conduct. But, if somebody's truly rude, I'll ask them to leave. I'll never actually, I know you're not going to ask people to be assaulted either, but when it comes to stupid customers, my biggest pleasure is getting the opportunity to educate somebody for their own benefit, because there's a lot of people who simply don't understand how game stores work. There's a lot of people who simply don't get it. And I see a lot of frustration when dealing with them through like the video game group that I'm a part of. It's a video game owners group. And it's really fun to sort of see how these people will respond in such a way that there's no punctuation or there's not really much resolution or care put into, the customer's satisfaction. And Radon and I have actually sort of tag team things like this where we've dealt with customers who have had less than savory experiences through a set of expectations that were somewhat unreasonable, but we still have always done our best to kill them with kindness. The number one thing I learned in customer service. And I have actually such a blast putting forth the best possible answer to where the point comes that a retort is irrefutable and it cannot happen because, we've given you everything you've wanted in a manner that we reasonably provide. And anything else you say is literally you choosing to be kind of a wiener.
Yeah, it's customer service chess where you basically pin someone into a corner that the only way they can get out of it is by treating you with dignity.
Yeah, they have to sort of concede, or they, cuss at you and never talk to you again.
Yeah, which is it's honestly just as fine.
Yeah, but we've had several situations where a gentleman was mad that like our wish list system didn't work for a copy of Punch Out, and we did our best. I even made some competitions of my own to really try to provide something for this guy in a very reasonable manner with a reasonable time frame. And because he missed it, he said, "Well, I didn't get these messages, I didn't get these texts, I didn't check Facebook, so it's your fault. You should just give me the game for free because that's what a good business would do." And I said, "Well, unfortunately, it's something we're unable to provide, and I wish we could help you guys out. However, we can still make sure we have another copy for you, and we can definitely, we'll accommodate to your needs this next time." And he just said, "Well, I'm just going to take my business to Walmart," which unfortunately doesn't affect us at all because we have almost zero cross product with them, save for, 20 new games that we carry, So it was a really interesting situation to handle, but we tag teamed it pretty well, and just customer service the hell out of him is kind of what it came down to. A couple more questions. Were ever have to talk to a person who swears up and down that you are wrong? Got that for a person who swore up and down that Halo was a PS2 game and that I was denying them a sale. What I end up doing in a situation like this is I have never told somebody that they're wrong. I've never told somebody that they're incorrect. I will never tell somebody that what their perception is bad or off. But what I will do is I will prompt them to answer a series of questions that will make them realize that they might be mistaken of their own accord. And to usually, if you give people the power to ask themselves the questions, they will usually answer their own questions for you with a little bit of a push. They'll be like, "Oh, cool. If you can bring up a box, what I'll do is I'll say, I'm unfamiliar with this. I actually haven't heard of this, and that's really cool. And if you can find that, I would love to see what we can do for you." And you'll usually sort of present them with a series of paths that make them realize that, oh, I can't actually provide this information the way I think I remember it. And that's what I usually do to people. And not to make them feel bad or dumb, but really to prompt them into saying, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong, but I want you to show yourself that you might be mistaken. And I think that's sort of my approach to things. Verbal judo is a very good way to put it. So, but yeah, I've dealt with rude people as well. And I've dealt with people that have wanted to punch me in the face. And ultimately what it came down to is, we can make a concession for you, but the thing is you are not allowed back in the store because unfortunately, if I'm making this concession for you, I'm breaking this rule, then this is something that we ask your understanding on. And in most cases, we just sort of settle it amicably and part ways. So it's fun. I actually like getting into situations with customers where I have to talk to them because I'm pretty good at disarming people verbally. So it's fun to do for me. I never want to. I actually don't prefer doing that. I prefer that people, choose to understand and listen, and then I can edify them with whatever's come up. But it's still, it's kind of fun to be put in a position where I can hopefully help people out in a positive way ultimately.
Boring.
No way. This is great. All right. Well, We're approaching hour 2. Actually, we're extended past hour 2.
Bonus.
So yeah, we have a bonus 10 minutes of content on this podcast. Not that we even have like a regulation of time, but
What if we did it in like quarters? Like we would do like 15 minutes of conversation and then like go talk to a coach and get some advice on how to handle the next 15 minutes.
we get prepped for what we're talking about.
Yeah, and then there's a halftime show.
I think it'd be nice. Yeah, we could get The Cure,
Yeah,
play a couple songs, and then
be our house band.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd get local artists as well too. I don't know if they draw as big of a crowd as like
I don't think that there are any. I don't think there are any.
Any local artists?
Yeah,
There aren't. No, they're gone because The Cure's in town. So what's the point?
yeah, they were all driven out by the Cure.
That's right. Like the Mongolians.
Robert Smith showed up and challenged anyone to best him, and no one could. So all the other
artists to like use a longbow with extreme force. Reading about how Genghis Khan conquered countries was incredible, by the way.
Well, you can relive it by playing Genghis Khan on the.
You can actually, yeah, if you ever wanted to become part. So Juanita, if you want to understand a part of not American history but world history with Genghis Khan, you could play a game that would bore you to tears.
To me?
Yes, you would hate every minute of this game.
You
Except for
basically you spend most of your time figuring out who in your army gets food.
Yeah. But what's fun is you can like name like everything.
Yes.
So this is one of the best parts about the game is so you're Genghis Khan riding your horses around and suddenly like ball sack army like pops out of the woods and like tries to kill you or whatever. So you get a lot of cool control over sort of how history really went down.
I'd try it.
Yeah, you would not like it. Metal Gear Solid 5 is getting a definitive edition in October. It's not that I don't want that, but I wonder who decides what goes into the definitive edition if you know what's
not the director's cut.
Yeah, because that can't happen.
They take out all the dialogue and add pachinko mini games.
Yeah, the snake walks around a casino for 12 years. It's a lot of balls.
Casino in like Reno.
Yeah, I mean, like you get to fly to various casinos and play all the different pachinko machines, like in Tokyo and Nevada and
Laughlin.
Spokane. Yeah,
A Carl's Jr. And,
yeah, I get a
why don't Carl's Jr.'s have pachinko machines, John?
It doesn't make any sense. Imagine like biting into like a double Western bacon. And,
yeah, get a $6 burger and $6 of pachinko balls.
Dude, yeah, for $10.
Yeah, that's the deal.
That'd be a great promotion. Why don't we have a pachinko machine?
Like me and you personally? Like
why don't I have one in my living room that I play all the time?
Why don't you and Radon share a pachinko machine?
Like the same?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who would get custody of it?
You share it on like.
Yeah, we'll switch on the weekends.
Drive down to Cruises to pick up my pachinko machine.
Yeah.
Have it for Saturday and Sunday.
Yep.
Not even just drive down there to play it. Just come pick it up. Rent a U-Haul every weekend. Betting it would just be Ground Zeroes and Phantom Bane together in one disc. That actually makes a lot more sense because, I mean, it's already a mess of. Is Aaron offering to get us a pachinko machine? If it was video game related, and actually, I would put that in the store. I would put a pachinko game.
What if it was a Romance of the Three Kingdoms pachinko?
It'd be funny. I would play that. I would honestly put any pachinko machine in the shop if it had a video game tie-in.
Pepsi Man pachinko.
I would play the hell out of that. And Ronnie confirms it can. It's those two and all the new Metal Gear Online content together. So ultimately, it's literally just like a combo pack and not director's cut content kind of stuff. New costumes or new whatever, new things that Kojima would have loved to put in there had his pee-pee not been burned off by Mr. Konami, by Konami Man.
Yep. He punched Konami Man and now he'll never get healed again.
That's right. That's what happened. If there was a Goonies game, oh my god, on the Metal Gear Solid 5 engine.
I thought you were gonna say like a Koei Goonies game. Where you have to micromanage each individual Goonies territory.
Yeah, you have to repair their yo-yos after every battle. Give Mikey a some dank water from the roadhouse.
Yep.
If you don't feed Sloth, then he slaughters a third of your units.
You have to make sure there's enough allocation in your budget to buy a Baby Ruth.
I'm mad that, like, you know what? We live in a day and age where this is so possible.
Yeah, you could spend a week like doing a ROM hack of like Bandit Kings of Ancient China and just make it about Goonies.
It's funny to think of how many games I would enjoy if they simply had other like properties over them. Like, again, Pokemon Go is basically Ingress, but like with stuff that I care about.
Yeah.
So you could turn so many games that I literally care nothing about into things that I would play for the rest of my life if they were just, you know, a Bubsy RTS or, like you said, Goonies, Romance of the Three Goonies, or God, what else? Probably there's a lot of possibilities. I could actually sit here and think of stuff forever.
Like a Gran Turismo Pee-wee's Big Adventure game.
Yes. Also, look what Juanita found.
Wow.
Yep.
What's that doing?
Well, just sitting in my room.
Well, now I know what Anita's going to play tonight.
Yep. He's lost the baby roof. Okay, so Aaron, how do I get a pachinko machine? I might delve into that a little bit later. Let's see. I do want a pachinko machine.
Get one.
I'm getting one. Ninja Gaiden pachinko.
What?
Or if they made a I'm trying to think of a good game. A Willow game on the Ninja Gaiden engine. Ninja Gaiden 3.
Yeah.
And just Warwick Davis could just slice wolves in half. One we came up with a long time ago, it's still my favorite, is Dumb and Dumber on the arcade Moonwalker engine. You have Harry and Lloyd just shooting blasts of energy out of their hands.
Craigslist.
Craigslist, okay. I'll get one from Craigslist. Okay. I think I'm getting ready to wrap it up. I'm getting tired. I want to play a handful of games before I have to go to bed.
And you got to get some pachinko in.
I gotta get some pachinko in, yeah. We go online to my pachinko.com parlor.
Do you think that they're like, you know how grandmothers will stay up all night on the internet playing bingo online?
Yep.
Do you think that Japanese grandmothers just play pachinko on their old computers that are really slow all night?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes, I do.
Berlin.
Also, Aaron just linked you to ET Pachinko. It's $150 in Berlin.
Wow. In
Yeah.
Berlin?
Yeah.
I'm confused by every part of that sentence.
Yep. So, it looks like I'll be driving to Berlin with $150 in my hand to buy ET Pachinko. I can't eat a hamburger in Los Lunas. That's true.
Because they're good.
You sounded sad.
I want a hamburger.
Oh, okay.
Let's go get hamburgers.
Oh, there's a RoboCop one too. Dang it. I might just do a search for myself and figure out which one I want.
Do you want a War Gods pachinko machine?
Yes. I would literally take any video game pachinko machine because all of it's funny to me. Even the offensive Metal Gear one, because like,
Okay, Mule.
I'd take it because as pachinko, I would enjoy it so much more than Mule. Yeah, absolutely. Because I don't think like pachinko is not fun. I think it's silly, but like it's so mindless that I could do it just for the fun of it anytime. I'm still playing Cookie Clicker, like there's literally it's something to do. By the way, I'm up to let's see, 4.3 trillion cookies per second currently.
You know my favorite thing about playing clicker games is when you give up on them and you don't play them for 6 months and you're like, oh, I should load that up, and you just have a billion resources.
Yes.
That's the most rewarding part of those games to me.
That's true, yeah, and then I could buy anything I wanted and have a quadrillion, zillion, pentillion cookies forever. I like that this game has achievements and upgrades. Ugh, what a waste. I love it so much. I don't know why. Every time I wake up in the morning before I go to work, I make sure to like buy any resources that I need to or see where I'm saving every single day without fail. Doesn't make any sense.
Hamburger clicker.
I would play that too. Now I want a hamburger. I'm making a hamburger before I go to
Dang
bed.
I want a hamburger.
Yep. Okay, so with that, I think we're gonna take off for the night.
A dark burger.
Oh my gosh,
Oh, I'm gonna go buy a dark burger.
easy! I bet it wears like a trench coat.
We had
Yeah.
the black burgers, remember?
Oh yeah, from Burger King. Yeah, I like the black burger.
Tasty.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde Pachinko, I would play that. So at the very least, any Pachinko game is better than a bad NES game.
Yeah, except for bad pachinko NES games.
Home Alone.
Home Alone NES Pachinko,
Yeah.
not based on the movie like Home Alone, but like
Based on being home alone.
based on yeah, exactly the concept of just nobody's in your house but you. Yeah, so it's like Home Alone the ride. It's your experience.
Yep.
I do that a lot.
Boo.
It's cold. Okay. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to stay tuned for more podcasts coming in following weeks. Tuesdays at 9, I do the Blue Lady podcast with my friend Michelle. We talk about life issues and difficulties, anxiety, depression. We answer questions. We talk about, lots of things to help people out. However, on Wednesday nights, Michael Radon and I get together and we do the Cyberzone podcast. And we talk about video games and cookies. And we've been pretty on point with keeping the video game content high.
Yeah.
I also
There's
think
a lot to talk about lately.
Michael Graham helps us sort of regulate weirder conversation when it comes to like talking about celebrities that would kill each other.
Yeah.
So we had a conversation about like between Luke and Owen Wilson versus Dennis and Randy Quaid, and that became a very involved, actually a 2-week-long discussion.
2 weeks?
There's a lot to discuss. Randy Quaid is nuts.
Yeah, he would kill his own brother.
That's part of it. That's the risk.
Yeah.
Like, but in doing so,
Validated our conversation.
Wilson's. So yeah, this has come up. Yeah. Yeah, it's like basically taking like a loaded gun and just throwing it on the ground as hard as you can and seeing what happens. You don't know, but you might emerge victorious or you might die yourself.
You throw it and then you kick it immediately.
Oh wow, like David Beckham.
Yeah.
Is that how David Beckham kills people? As he kicks guns?
Yeah. Bend It Like Beckham is actually the sequel that movie Wanted, where they bend the bullets with like turning the guns.
There was Danny DeAngelis a long time ago made like a mock-up poster that was Bend It Like Becker. It was just Ted Danson. This is when we were learning Photoshop, so we had a lot of good ideas going on. And now I want to get back into doing those. I also did Super Mario 64 with Mario Lopez, and Dave Gilligan ended up making Mormon Tactics, and it was just, otherwise the Tactics box art with a bunch of Mormons on it. We had good times. And now that I'm actually better with Photoshop than I once was. Also, I have a website I have to link to you.
Okay.
So I'll discuss with that after you.
So good.
Yeah, or discuss with you after this. But okay, thank you guys for watching. Are you guys doing your D&D podcast yet, or your board game podcast?
Not yet. I am starting to work on that again this week. So
Okay. And Ken Williams also says Randy Quaid can take anyone in a fight. You can't beat crazy, and that's exactly what we're banking on in terms of his victory.
Mm-hmm.
And Juanita saying hi to Morgan because he says, "Oh my God, it's Juanita." So
more like, oh my God, it's Morgan.
that's true. I love that guy. I
Yeah.
love that guy. Okay.
A smoke kiss.
The smoke. Yeah, exactly. I smoke the kiss that I blow to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, tune into garetro.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat at GARetro. You can check us out on Google and Yelp if you want to, leave us reviews or just see what we're up to. Check out our addresses or whatever. Facebook.com/GAfans to join our GA Retro community page, which is where we post pretty much every bit of information that we output publicly for events or new merchandise or anything of the sort. So be sure to stay tuned there and look in your mirror for new Cyberzone episodes.
In your mirror.
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Yeah, because we're actually recording these in reverse.
Yeah, exactly. Like Merlin.
I see.
You understand now?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so thank you guys for watching. It's always fun participating in a conversation with all of you. So thank you guys for showing up tonight. And we'll be back next week with more Cyberzone.
Unless we die.
Unless that's true. Hopefully we don't die, but if we
Unless
do,
we turn dark.
unless the dark humor corrupts us, we have the dark Cyberzone. We should do that one week.
Yeah.
Special.
Yeah, exactly.
Like an end of the year special.
Yeah, like a Drew Carey episode or whatever. Or yeah, Cyberzone Christmas special. And we just Radon and I have to drink at least 3 gallons of eggnog before the episode is over.
Ew.
Can you do that?
I probably would get sick, but I think Aaron and Omar could. Like
3
they could have
gallons.
they could probably do 3 gallons between them. Yeah.
Okay, even so, because a gallon of milk will get you. So a gallon of eggnog is like 10 times thicker.
I won't have any part of it.
I'll try it though. I'll do it until I throw up. You're not sold.
That
Okay.
was the perfect response.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. You can choose a challenge, and I'll choose a challenge during like the Christmas month, and we'll decide.
3 gallons of soup.
Oh my god, yeah, that's not even a challenge. That's a reward. That's if I've been a good boy this year.
All right, thank you guys.
What if I just ate like 12 bags of pretzels with no drink?
You
These pretzels are making
You would
me thirsty.
evaporate. A golden cookie. Hold on. Okay. Sorry, cookie clicker is on, and it's like the 7 times multiplier
What
cookie.
is golden cookie? Oh,
Yeah, for 77 seconds, it sevens my score, septuples my score.
Okay, so while he's doing that, Juanita, we have to say words to each other until we
Word?
find the perfect word.
Beetleborg.
Oh,
Very good.
Sudeikis.
Jason.
Are you saying that to him or to me?
To him.
Oh, okay.
Me?
I don't know.
Are you guys trying to say words to me or each other?
I thought we were doing it to each other.
Yeah, we were doing it to each other.
Okay.
Calliope.
Oh. Morgan Freeman.
That's like that's the German word, right? Like a Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
It's like a public bus, I think. Bisque.
Panty.
Ooh. Like one? Just a panty?
A single panty.
Does that mean it only has one leg? I don't understand how panties work.
Yeah, I was wondering how a pant or a panty would work.
I don't get panties. I wear them, but I don't understand them.
You just every morning you're like,
I don't get you.
Shrug, yeah. Eggnog for people who want to get drunk but also want pancakes. They're thick, man. I love it. I love the thickness.
could you just make just pour eggnog into a pan and like make a pancake?
I
out of
will try it.
Yuck.
it?
Deep
Fried eggnog.
Yeah, see? That'd be delicious. Deep fried anything is delicious.
Deep fried haggis. That's pretty
Deep fried steamed rice.
good. Ooh.
I would eat that. Holy crap, I'd eat that. Sassafras, deep fried sassafras. Root. Deep fried root beer. Root beer gyoza. Too many possibilities. That's the problem with life, is there's so many options.
Yeah. You could touch Jason Statham, or you could roll a bunch of pennies into a sock.
Roll them in?
Yeah.
You like set it up like where you like roll them like
Like you get a handful and you just chuck them at an open sock.
okay.
And you keep doing it until all the pennies are in the socks. You have to go.
Status.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was gonna be like rolling, a roll of pennies. But no, you're actually like,
Throwing it in there.
that'd be fun.
I'd try it.
I would try it too. Tonight?
Hmm?
Okay. Thank you guys for watching the Cyber Zone.
Go home.
Yeah, go back to your house. What if you only watch Cyber Zone at internet cafes?
What if there were internet cafes that were dedicated to just people getting together and watching Cyberzone?
Well, I think that's what we have to. That's the next project. That's where all the GA profits are going to go. Is we're just going to sink everything I've worked for entirely by making a Cyberzone dedicated cafe. Though if you had a Cyberzone cafe called the Cyberzone, people would go there all the time. Another cookie. Oh my God, another frenzy. Hold on.
Rorschach.
Rutabaga.
Bombardier.
Oh. Leche.
Oh, international edition. Yeah. I do like leche.
Sorry, there's so many cookies to pound.
Leche lechuga.
Tres leches.
Those are so good.
Yeah.
Tres leches cake is my favorite.
Lorenzo Leches.
Lorenzo Lamas' brother.
Yeah.
Abuelita de leche.
Grandma.
Yeah.
Little milk grandma.
Small milk grandma.
Does that mean she has like tiny milk cores?
Yeah.
Like they're all dried up?
Oh.
Milk cores.
Yeah.
You're only as old as your milk.
I introduced Morgan to the concept of milk core this last weekend.
Wow.
But I like that we actually have more viewers now than we did right before we were about to like stop the show.
I like the word game.
Word game was fun. I like listening to it. Okay, down with the thickness. I am down with thick eggnog and milk. Thick milk. Butter. Why don't I just melt butter and put it in my cereal? Aside from like dying instantly. I can't?
Like liquid butter?
Like spray
butter
butter.
as milk?
Well, until like it like floats the cereal. So it's as much butter
So
as
why
there would.
wouldn't you just melt some butter and then just pour it in?
I could, but this coats the cereal more evenly.
Ugh. Too much work.
No. I don't think so. Milk cores are a thing in my household now. In terms of like you guys have discovered your own milk cores, like the dormant male milk cores, or
They go to Smith's and they buy milk cores instead of wasting money on just milk.
Well, they're milk core substitutes.
Artificial milk cores?
Kokomanga? Kokomo. I hear Kokomo's nice this time of year. Get there fast and then we'll take it slow. That's where I wanna go. Down to Kokomo.